Chapter 246. Who is it? And when will you bring her home for your parents to see? That's right, that's right. Brother, I can't wait to see who it is. Since you already have someone in mind, you should indeed bring her over. Who is she? Where's she from? Zhuo Shiri, his wife, and Zhuo Yinxing took turns to bombard him with questions. Of the four figures that flashed through Tsing Hui's mind, Nailin Fei was the first to be eliminated. If he said Nailin Fei's name, not only would it be against common sense, Nailin Fei would also not cooperate with him to fool Zhuo Shiri and the others. The only remaining person was Sword Master Bai Heng, who was high and mighty, and Jiang Ningji. She was on Earth. The only one left that could be used to fool Zhuo Shiri and his wife was Lai Wuyang. Lai Wuyang was the saintess of the Jin Wu religion and had a venerated status. Given Zhuo Shiri and the others' experience, they would naturally understand that the Zhuo family could not afford to associate with such a person. Even if they did continue to ask, Tsing Hui would only find it troublesome. Lai Wuyang was the only one of the four women that he could use against her. If they really had no choice but to meet, he could use her weakness to force her to cooperate. If she dared to disobey, he could directly capture her from the Jin Wu religion. She would have no choice but to cooperate. At most, he would have to spend more effort on the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art. Of course, this was the worst choice and could only be regarded as his last resort. In any case, Tsing Hui had already steeled his heart and would not easily meet Zhuo Shiri and his wife in the future. He did not have time to think about the various changes that might occur and directly said, "The woman I like is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, Lai Wuyang. Although I have some status now, compared to the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, I am far inferior. Therefore, I need to concentrate on the many matters Sect Master has given me. Only when I make great contributions time and time again, and my status reaches the level of my Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Deputy Sect Master, will I have the qualifications to meet Lai Wuyang." The Jin Wu religion's saintess Lai Wuyang? The Jin Wu religion is a huge force on the same level as our Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The Jin Wu religion's saintess is the same as our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Lord Jiesu. They are both being groomed as future Sect Master. This, if Tsing Hui's goal is to become the Jin Wu religion's saintess, then you really need to work hard and make contributions. Just as Tsing Hui had guessed, Zhuo Shiri and his wife's imposing manner rapidly diminished, and a trace of worry appeared on their faces. No wonder Big Brother has never returned home all these years and wholeheartedly devoted himself to his career. It's because my future sister-in-law has such an amazing status. Big Brother, I believe that you will be able to take her down one day. Zhuo Yinxing immediately spoke words of encouragement. Although Zhuo Shiri and his wife wanted to persuade Tsing Hui not to set his sights so high, after hearing Zhuo Yinxing's words, Tsing Hui had worked hard all these years to raise his status to the point where he could propose marriage to the Jin Wu religion's saintess Lai Wuyang. It could be seen that Tsing Hui was deeply in love with Lai Wuyang. Zhuo Shiri did not want to discourage his son and only said, "Hard work pays off. Tsing Hui, I believe that you will one day succeed in fulfilling your wish." Yes. Our family, Su is not inferior to any young elite in the world. Tsing Hui breathed a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. He immediately changed the topic and directed the fire onto Zhuo Yinxing. "Yinxing, you also need to pay more attention to your marriage. If you were in the Cloud-Desolate City, you would have already started to have children at your age. My occasionally is my aunt. Now that my aunt is not married, how can I talk about this matter in advance? Brother, if you really want to talk about this matter, you should first convince my aunt. When my aunt is married, it won't be too late for me to look for my Mr. Right." Zhuo Yinxing was very shrewd. She directly used Nailin Fei as her shield. Moreover, with her words, the conversation had reached a point where there was nothing to talk about. Fortunately, at this time, a guard suddenly came in and cupped his hands. "Sir, the Green Lotus Sword Sect's Vice Sect Master, Lord Wenhui, accompanied by the Guest Hall Master, Lin Yuan, has come to pay a visit." Wenhui. When Tsing Hui thought of Wenhui, he immediately realized that he had a sword jade on him. The current hymn had already gathered the spirit essence, core, and dragon whisker root. He was only lacking a sword jade to refine the roaming dragon blood transformation powder. He immediately said impatiently, "Quickly invite them in." With that, he turned to Zhuashiri and the others. "Honored guests have arrived. I have to excuse myself." Yinqing accompanied the two elders to walk around. "Brother, you have guests. Go quickly." The Green Lotus Sword sect's vice sect master and the guest hall master are both important figures. Yinqing hurriedly said. Zhuashiri also nodded. The vice sect master was an important figure, even more important than the hall master, not to mention Tsing Hui, the vice hall master. Naturally, they would not stop him. After Tsing Hui left, Yinqing said with some envy, "Brother has really become an important figure now. The woman he fancies is the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. Now, even the Green Lotus Sword sect's vice sect master has come to pay him a visit." Zhuashiri and his wife nodded in agreement. Originally, they thought that there was a huge gap between Tsing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion. However, the arrival of Wen Hui, the Green Lotus Sword sect's vice sect master, gave them a glimmer of hope. Since the vice sect master of the 10 great sacred sects was on good terms with her son, then marrying the saintess of the Jin Wu religion was not impossible. At that moment, Madame Zhua had an idea. "Master, why don't you talk to Sister Nailin and see if she has a way to matchmake Tsing Hui and the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, so that Tsing Hui won't suffer from the torment of lovesickness day and night? If this can be done, our Zhua family will really have a meteoric rise and have the foundation to become a top family." Zhuashiri hesitated for a moment and finally nodded vigorously. "Then I'll talk to Sister Nailin. However, I'm not sure if it can be done. Just give it a try. Our ability is limited, and we can only do our best." Zhui Yinqing quickly echoed. Ani Nailin is not only a true disciple of a peak master, but also the hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Her status is only one step lower than our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's vice sect master. With Ani Nailin acting as a matchmaker, this matter is very promising. Let's go find Ani Nailin. Vice sect master 1, Hall Master Lin Yuan, sorry to keep you waiting. When Tsing Hui came to the reception hall, Wen Hui and Lin Yuan were already sitting quietly, and the servants had already prepared tea and snacks. "I'm here to visit Temple Master Qing Su in my personal capacity and to congratulate the establishment of the Sea Calming Hall and Qinglan Peak. I'm not here for any other sect matters, so Temple Master Qilin can rest assured." Wen Hui said to Lin Yuan when he saw Qing Su arrive. His voice was rather helpless. Lin Yuan just smiled and cast his gaze on Tsing Hui. "Hall Master Tsing Hui, even if Vice Sect Master Wen is not here on behalf of the Green Lotus Sword Sect, he is still the most distinguished guest of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect. I will have to trouble you to entertain him during this period. The sect will bear all the expenses. Hall Master Lin Yuan, don't worry. I will definitely satisfy Vice Sect Master Wen." Tsing Hui nodded to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not stay any longer and bid farewell to Wen Hui before turning to leave. After Lin Yuan left, Wen Hui said regretfully, "The Hunyuan Heaven Sect is really a little stingy. Alliance Master Tsing Hui brought more than half of the Life Moon Alliance to join the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but the Hunyuan Heaven Sect only gave him the position of Vice Hall Master. If Alliance Master Tsing Hui is willing to bring the Life Moon Alliance to join our Green Lotus Sword Sect, as long as he can prove that he has no disloyalty to our Green Lotus Sword Sect, there will be a place for Alliance Master Tsing Hui among the Grand Elders of our Green Lotus Sword Sect." Grand Elders were the core of a sect and had the right to participate in all matters of the sect. Vice Sect Master Wen is too kind, but my main purpose of joining the Hunyuan Heaven Sect this time is to strengthen the reputation of my senior sister Nailin. Joining the Hunyuan Heaven Sect as a Vice Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall is just a convenient way to gain an identity. I believe Sect Master Zhua of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect also understands this. When Hui nodded, he was only inviting Tsing Hui out of courtesy. The position of the sect's Grand Elder was decided by a vice sect master like him. If Alliance Master Tsing Hui still needs to find people to strengthen the reputation of Qinglan Peak, I know a lot of friends, such as Vice Sect Master Luo of the Jinwu religion, Shakyamuni Yin Xian, Home Master Wu Heng of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Home Master Xiongzhan, and others. There's no need. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Qinglan Peak's current reputation is enough. Haha, with the Life Moon Alliance protecting Qinglan Peak, who among the many peak master disciples in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect can stand shoulder to shoulder with Qinglan Peak? Tsing Hui smiled and waved his hand, dismissing the guard. Then, he went straight to the point. I don't know if Vice Sect Master One has brought the sword jade that I asked you to collect. How can I not take the task that Alliance Master Tsing Hui has entrusted to me? When Hui smiled and took out a piece of white jade that exuded a biting, cold aura. Alliance Master Tsing Hui, please take a look. Tsing Hui took the sword jade and looked at it. He nodded with satisfaction. This is the sword jade. After that, he took out a lower level 6 armor and a lower level 6 divine weapon. Vice Sect Master One, please take a look. Of course I trust Alliance Master Tsing Hui. When Hui took the 2 divine weapons with a smile on his face. Although he said he trusted Zhou Dongwang, he still divided a part of his qi into the armor and divine weapon. When he confirmed that the armor and armor were both level 6, the smile on his face widened. In the future, our 2 sides should get closer and exchange what we need. Of course, if there is any business in the future, I will definitely look for Vice Sect Master One first. Tsing Hui said with satisfaction. I am now the Vice Palace Master of the Suppressing Sea Palace, and can be regarded as half the master of Qinglan Peak. Let me show Vice Sect Master One around. I will follow Alliance Master Tsing Hui's arrangement. Starting from the weekend explosion, the base value of today's explosion is 5 chapters, and because of the support and rewards from several readers yesterday, Chengfen will make up for it again. Right. Keep writing. I will continue to write for the whole day today. I will definitely let everyone enjoy it. And at the same time, I hope everyone will subscribe to support Chengfen and give Chengfen more motivation to continue exploding. Chapter 247. Liwa Hall. In front of an alchemy furnace located in a side hall, Zhu Ri, dressed in a fiery red robe, was staring at the alchemy furnace. He had been refining this batch of flower saint pills for 3 whole months. During this period, he had failed no less than 100 times. Every time he was about to succeed, he would fail for various reasons, causing his patience to become worse and worse. If it wasn't for the fact that this batch of elixirs was related to whether he could pass the sex assessment and become a rank 5 alchemist, he would have already thrown the flower saint elixirs recipe to a corner and never touched this kind of elixir again. Huff! After a long time, a burning smell came out from the alchemy furnace. Zhu Ri, who had high hopes for this furnace of pills, was suddenly filled with disappointment and regret. He had no choice but to summon his attendants to clean up the alchemy room. He planned to go out for a breath of fresh air and relieve the depression in his heart. Elder Zhu Ri, have you finished refining the pill? You came just in time. Elder Zhu Ri had only walked around his courtyard for a short while when a voice sounded. Immediately afterward, he saw the Li Hua Hall's Deputy Hall Master, Yin Xing, and the Operation Hall's Deputy Hall Master, Lei Jing, walking towards the courtyard. Although the Li Hua Hall was the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's alchemy hall, there were 5 or 6 similar alchemy halls in the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Coupled with the alchemy hall's palace, the Li Hua Hall's position in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was inferior to the Operation Hall, which was in charge of personnel. Therefore, when he saw the Deputy Hall Master of the Operation Hall, Elder Zhu Ri hurriedly restrained the depression in his heart and quickly stepped forward to salute. Greetings, Hall Master Lei, Hall Master Yin Xing. Zhu Ri, during this period of time, you have been focusing on refining the flower saint pill. Aren't you a little too eager for success? Sometimes refining pills is like comprehending divine arts. It requires 90% effort and 10% inspiration. In the past 3 months, we have seen the effort you have put in, but the hundreds of failures have proved that you are still lacking in the road to becoming a Tier 5 alchemist. What you lack is that inspiration. Therefore, there is no need to be too stubborn and put all your energy into refining pills. Sometimes you can go out for a walk and do other things, such as refining some ordinary pills. Maybe that inspiration will come and let you burst out the spark of inspiration to become a Tier 5 alchemist. Yunxing said with a smile. Thank you for your teachings, Home Master. I will remember it. Elder Zhuri replied respectfully with a bow. Although he could be awe-inspiring in front of ordinary disciples because of his status as an elder, he didn't dare to be arrogant in front of Yunxing, a Home Master whose alchemy skills had reached the upper 5th level and whose cultivation base had reached the late stage of the Green Hell realm. It just so happens that the Circulation Home Master is here to send you to the Sea Calming Palace so that you can assist the Home Master in refining some level 3 and level 4 pills. Refining these pills may not help your alchemy skills much, but if you continue to refine them, you might be able to catch a spark of inspiration and become a level 5 alchemist. When that time comes, there will definitely be a place for you in the Chamber of Commerce that my Firely Palace opens. Sea Calming Palace? Zhuri had been studying the refining of the Flower Saint pill for the past few months to break through the bottleneck to become a level 5 alchemist. Therefore, he didn't know much about the outside world. When he heard Elder Yunxing mention it, he couldn't help but wonder. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect has more than 140 palaces of various sizes. In the large palaces, there are more than a dozen deputy hall masters under the hall master. As for the small palaces, they are just empty shells. Although there are many palaces, I remember all of them in my heart without exception, but I have never heard of the Sea Calming Palace. It's reasonable that you haven't heard of the Sea Calming Palace since you've been studying alchemy. The Sea Calming Palace is a newly established palace by our sect master a month ago. It specializes in overseas affairs. Although the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace, Nalan Fei, is only a peak master disciple, her deputy Hall Master is extraordinary. At this time, the Sea Calming Palace has several Green Hell Realm experts and dozens of Spirit and Chi Unity experts. As for the hidden strength, it can be doubled. In our Hunyuan Heaven sect, the strength of the Sea Calming Palace can be ranked in the top 10. The Hall Master is actually Nalan Fei. Nalan Fei established a mountain and became a peak master disciple. Elder Zhuri's expression changed slightly. That's right. Hall Master Lei Jing smiled slightly. Although the matter between Elder Zhuri and Nalan Fei had caused quite a stir, other than the people in the circle like them, no one else paid much attention to it. Even Elder Zhuri's immediate superior, the Master of the Falling Star Palace, did not inquire about it. After all, compared to the Lee Fire Palace's Deputy Palace Master, the people he interacted with on a daily basis were all elders of the Spirit and Chi Unison Realm or Deputy Palace Masters of the Green Hell Realm. At that time, Nalan Fei was only at the True Energy Realm and was not worthy of his attention. It was precisely because he did not know the inside story that Elder Yunxing agreed to Lei Jing's request for Deputy Palace Master Lei Jing's transfer without hesitation. Wait a minute. The Sea Calming Palace is in charge of overseas affairs. Moreover, there are already several Green Hell Realm experts and dozens of Spirit and Chi Unity experts. Could the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace be the Alliance Master of the Overseas Life Moon League, Cho Tsinghui? Lei Jing looked at Elder Zhuri and said with a smile, Elder Zhuri actually knows Hall Master Tsinghui. That's great. No wonder Hall Master Tsinghui asked me to transfer you to the Sea Calming Palace. The procedures have just been completed. Elder Zhuri, you can follow Hall Master Tsinghui to the Sea Calming Palace whenever you're ready. Cho Tsinghui. Elder Zhuri's face was filled with bitterness when he heard Lei Jing's words. He hurriedly said, Hall Master, can I not go to the Sea Calming Palace? Yunxing looked at Elder Zhuri and said with a frown, You're the person that Hall Master Cho Tsinghui personally asked for. There's something you probably don't know. Hall Master Tsinghui has already subdued one of the two overlords of the Overseas Life Moon League, Lord Jinhai. The other overlord, the Blood WIRM King, was also killed by him. Currently, Almost all of the overseas Life Moon League's islands are in his hands, except for a few inappropriate islands. His current power is most likely second only to the Supreme Elders. What? The Blood WYRM King was killed by him? Didn't the Blood WYRM King fight with our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Supreme Elder back then and didn't fall into a disadvantageous position for more than 10 breaths? Later on, he even managed to escape unscathed from the pursuit of that Grand Elder. How did Zhuo Qingshu manage to kill such a person? Zhuri was both shocked and frightened when he heard this. It was precisely because he felt that Tsing Hui's cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds and had become extremely powerful that he tried to break through to the 5th stage of alchemy. As long as he became a 5th stage alchemist, his status was bound to climb to a whole new level. At that time, it would be much easier to deal with Tsing Hui. But he never thought that after more than 3 months, when he was still far from advancing to the 5th stage of alchemy, Tsing Hui would be strong enough to kill the Blood WYRM King. Moreover, he was recruited by the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and given the identity of a deputy hallmaster. The Sea Calming Palace killed the Blood WYRM King. This matter made several Supreme Elders and even an ancestor in our sect very happy. They rewarded the Sea Calming Palace's hallmaster, Nalan Fei. It is said that she was even given a drop of Azure Luan blood essence. But everyone knows that although the credit for killing the Blood WYRM King was given by the Sea Calming Palace, and the credit belongs to the Sea Calming Palace's hallmaster, Nalan Fei, in reality, the real person who killed the Blood WYRM King is the deputy hallmaster, Cho Tsing Hui. You must not neglect such a great person with a boundless future. Hallmaster, Elder Zhuri looked at Yun Xing and hesitated for a moment before he finally said, I have some conflicts with Hallmaster Tsing Hui. I'm afraid that when the time comes... Yun Xing's expression changed slightly when he heard Elder Zhuri's words. At this moment, he finally understood why Elder Zhuri was so hesitant when he learned that the deputy hallmaster of the Sea Calming Palace was Tsing Hui. He immediately frowned and didn't know how to respond for a moment. On the other hand, Hallmaster Lei Jing of the Operation Hall came to a sudden realization. He also felt that it was strange why Hallmaster Tsing Hui would specially request Elder Zhuri to be transferred to the Sea Calming Palace. Thinking of the powerful strength possessed by the deputy hallmaster of the Sea Calming Palace and the terrifying potential power of a life alliance behind him, Lei Jing swept a glance at Zhuri, who hadn't broken through to the 5th stage of alchemy for a long time, and immediately came to a decision. Isn't it simple to have conflicts? Can't we take advantage of this opportunity to work under Hallmaster Tsing Hui to resolve it? Do you know what kind of person Hallmaster Tsing Hui is? If he continues to be loyal to our Hunyuan Heaven Sect and make some great contributions, he'll have a high chance of entering the Supreme Elder Council in the future. Don't tell me that you, a 4th-stage alchemist, plan to fight to the death with Hallmaster Tsing Hui? The words Supreme Elder Council clearly carried a lot of weight. The Falling Star Hallmaster, who was still considering whether to protect Elder Zhuri, thought of Tsing Hui's enormous potential and promptly said, Hallmaster Lei Jing is right. You and Hallmaster Tsing Hui had conflicts in the past. Now that both of you belong to the upper echelons of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, wouldn't you be a laughingstock if you still harp on the grudges of the past? Just as Deputy Hallmaster Lei Jing said, take advantage of the fact that Hallmaster Tsing Hui intends to borrow you to work under him. Apologize and seek forgiveness from Hallmaster Tsing Hui. Then, work hard under Hallmaster Tsing Hui, and perhaps you will be able to bury the hatchet. If Hallmaster helps me, Cho Tsing Hui will definitely not let this matter go so easily. Hallmaster, please allow me to continue to stay in the distant fire hall and refine pills for you. Elder Zhuri immediately pleaded. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. I believe that if you express enough apology, Hallmaster Tsing Hui will definitely let you go. Don't tell me that a little elder like you needs Hallmaster Tsing Hui to personally come and resolve the grudges with you? Lei Jing, who was at the side, said indifferently. Falling Star also nodded. The weight of a Hall Master with a boundless future was obviously not something an elder with almost exhausted potential could compare to. Hall Master Lei Jing is right. Moreover, I have already given your file to Hall Master Lei Jing. Hall Master Lei Jing should have already sent it to the Operation Hall, right? Perhaps you are already a member of the Suppressing Sea Hall. That's right, that's right. I've already sent someone to deliver your file to the Sea Suppressing Hall. If you really don't want to stay in the Sea Suppressing Hall, you'll have to speak to Hall Master Narong and Hall Master Ching Su. Lei Jing immediately echoed. Elder Zhuri immediately felt a chill run down his spine when he heard the two Hall Masters abandoning him to curry favor with Sing Hui. Elder Zhuri, generally speaking, you have to contact your superior in less than a month to report to your superior. Don't forget that our Hunyuan Heaven sect will punish those who don't follow the sect rules differently. If the Hall Master doesn't pursue the matter, you will only be fined 10 years of salary. If the Hall Master wants to pursue the matter, you will be treated as a traitor of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Therefore, it's best that you report to Hall Master Tsing Hui as soon as possible within a month. After Lei Jing finished speaking, he cupped his hands towards Yun Xing and said, "Since I've finished my task, I won't stay any longer. I'll take my leave first. Hall Master Lei, if you have time, please visit our Li Fire Hall. If you have any extremely talented seedlings in the Tao of Alchemy, please take care of our Li Fire Hall and distribute them to our Li Fire Hall. Of course. There are still many sword cultivators who don't know where our base is. Group number 347695635. Welcome to the great law world." Chapter 248. Hall Master, you can't let me be seconded to Cho Tsing Hui. Please save me, Hall Master. After Hall Master Lei Jing left, Elder Zhuri could no longer care about his face as an elder and hurriedly begged the master of the Falling Star Palace. "Zhuri, I've already said that it's better to squash enmity than to keep it alive. The grudge between you and Hall Master Tsing Hui must be resolved one day. Even if I can protect you now, I can't protect you forever. With Hall Master Tsing Hui's future potential, as long as he doesn't do anything harmful to our Hunyuan Heaven sect's interests, he will one day enter the Grand Elder Council. At that time, who can protect you? Therefore, listen to my advice. Go find Hall Master Tsing Hui, give him a gift, and reconcile with Hall Master Tsing Hui. Only then can you safely continue to serve under Hall Master Tsing Hui. That's all I have to say. As for whether you can listen to me, it's up to you." After Elder Yun Xing finished speaking, he no longer spoke to Elder Zhuri. He turned around and left Elder Zhuri's courtyard, leaving Elder Zhuri alone in a state of panic. After a long while, he seemed to realize something. The culprit of this matter wasn't him, but Erashur Yudo. He immediately furiously roared at the door. Min, where did everyone go?" Elder, not long after, a true Qi Realm deacon looked at the furious Elder Zhuri with fear and trepidation. "May I know what instructions Elder has for me? Where's Erashur Yudo? Where did Erashur Yudo go? That bitch, immediately capture her. This, senior sister Erashur Yudo, should be at the Chongwang Peak at this time," the deacon carefully replied. Chongwang Peak. When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he seemed to have thought of something. His face immediately turned pale. How long has it been since that bitch came back? It should have been almost a month. She's been at Chongwang Peak for the past month. Furthermore, there are rumors that she's about to hold a wedding with Lord Beichonghua Bei Chonghua. When Elder Zhuri heard this name, he immediately gnashed his teeth. Bitch. B*TCH. That B*TCH. Now that you have a new backer, you actually cast me aside. Damn it, you deserve to die 1,000 times over. If it was just a spirit refining true disciple, Bei Zhonghua, it wouldn't be enough to make Elder Zhuri so angry and unwilling. However, Bei Zhonghua's elder brother was someone he couldn't afford to offend. Even ordinary grand elders wouldn't want to offend such a big shot. That was Bei Zhongguang, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, Bei Zhongguang. If Jiesu hadn't appeared, Bei Zhongguang would have definitely taken over the sect master's position in a few decades. Even if Jiesu had broken through to the Qingming stage and displayed unprecedented cultivation potential, it wasn't completely certain that he would take over the sect master's position. Bei Zhongguang's potential still gave him the qualifications to challenge the sect master's position. Damn it. If I could hand over this bitch to appease Hall Master Tsing Hui's anger and compensate him with a large sum of money, there would still be a glimmer of hope. But now, Elder Zhuri was so anxious that his hair turned white. Think of a way, think of a way. I must think of a way as soon as possible. Otherwise, if I fall into Cho Tsing Hui's hands, only death will await me. No, it might even be more miserable than death. While Elder Zhuri was panicking because of Tsing Hui's words, Erishur Yudo sat in the courtyard's little garden on Chongwang Peak with a worried look on her face. At this moment, a handsome man in white clothes walked over from behind her. His gaze paused on Erishur Yudo for a moment, and when he saw her worried look, he immediately said with pity, "Yutong, are you still worried about the matter of the sea-suppressing palace's Hall Master? Brother Chonghua." Erishur Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with the same gentle look in her eyes. "I really don't want to make things difficult for you and Brother Chonghua because of the sea-suppressing palace's Hall Master. How about I just go to the sea-suppressing palace's Hall Master and apologize to him?" Back then, when the sea-suppressing palace's Hall Master was in the cloud desolate city, he relied on his identity as the eldest son of the Zhuo family's patriarch to bully me several times. I thought of all sorts of ways to hypocritically compromise with him and barely managed to keep my chastity. If I really beg for forgiveness and give myself to him, he might not continue to pursue the matter. "Yutong, what are you talking about?" Before Erishur Yudo could finish speaking, she was sternly interrupted by Bei Chonghua. "Although Bei Chonghua, am not some great person, I'm not someone who can't even protect my own woman. When encountering a problem, I have to make my woman beg for mercy. Don't worry, although the sea-suppressing palace's deputy hall master has some status and ability, our Bei family is not to be trifled with. I'll go find my brother. My brother is the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master and the person closest to the sect master's throne. As long as my brother is willing to speak up, even if you give Cho Tsing Hui 100 guts, he won't dare to find trouble with you." Erishur Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua with a pitiful look, "But won't this be too troublesome for Big Brother? Big Brother is the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master, and there's a strong competitor like Jiesu. If there's a new problem because of the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace, I'm afraid. You also said that the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace is just a small deputy hall master. Given my brother's status, he may not even pay attention to him. Those who chat and laugh with my brother are often hall masters or even grand elders. What does a deputy hall master count for? My brother and I have a very deep relationship. If I really speak up and plead with him, he definitely won't refuse." Bei Chonghua said righteously. "I think forget it. I'll go beg the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace for mercy." Erishur Yudo said with a sorrowful look, "I know the deputy hall master of the sea-suppressing palace very well. He has been sinister and cunning since he was young, and he will definitely seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if Big Brother is willing to come forward and take responsibility for this matter, he will definitely not let it go. At most, he will reconcile on the surface, but he will definitely do all kinds of little tricks to deal with Big Brother. This will definitely bring Big Brother endless trouble. He dares." A cold light flashed in Bei Chonghua's eyes. "I asked my brother to resolve this grudge with him as the deputy sect master, which is giving him face. If he still dares to deal with us, Big Brother, and I will let him understand the true power of a deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Then I'm relieved." Erishur Yudo breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that Bei Chonghua had finally expressed his stance. What Bei Chonghua didn't notice was that when he said that he would deal with Cho Tsing Hui, Erishur Yudo's eyes flashed viciously. Qinglan Peak. Sing Hui was in a good mood after obtaining the formula for the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was different from ordinary medicinal pills. It could only be regarded as a prescription. As long as one followed the appropriate steps and matched enough auxiliary herbs, it could be refined. The difficulty of obtaining the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder was lower than the difficulty of obtaining the Zhulong fortune pill. After returning to Qinglan Peak, Sing Hui immediately asked people to prepare the medicine furnace and other things. After a torturous process, it took him half a day to successfully refine the roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. Looking at the blood-red medicine in his hand, Sing Hui had a faint smile on his face. The roaming dragon blood dissipation powder. With this medicine, I can already try to separate a drop of the Zhulong blood and begin to refine it. However, for safety's sake, and to avoid wastage, I will wait until I reach the small success stage of the qi into virtual qi before proceeding. After all, a portion of the Zhulong blood is only 10 drops, and the more I waste, the less there will be. Sing Hui thought to himself and could not wait to once again devote his energy to the cultivation of the qi into virtual qi into virtual qi. Some time ago, the painstaking meditation had already given him a new understanding of the qi into virtual qi, but for some reason, he was always a little short, causing him to be unable to truly understand the qi into virtual qi into virtual qi and push it to the small success stage. He glanced at his character model. There were still 30 days before the level of chaos would be upgraded again. In these 30 days, if he still could not upgrade the qi into virtual qi to the small success stage, then he could only upgrade his comprehension to the 6th level. The effect of comprehension was the best at the moment when it reached the 6th level. All kinds of inspiration would burst out in the mind, and relying on that flash of inspiration, he would be able to smoothly improve the qi into virtual qi into virtual qi. However, there was still some time before this matter, so he would not mention it for the time being. Sing Hui ended his cultivation and left the cultivation room. As soon as he came out of the cultivation room, a guard immediately came forward to respectfully salute. Palace Master, Senior Sister Nailin sent a message to invite Palace Master Sing Hui to the study when you are free. She has something to discuss with you. Oh, a day had already passed since Qing Su refined the roaming dragon powder of blood transformation and studied the method to convert true qi into illusions. The founding peak meeting was right before him. So, when he heard Nailin Fei summon him, he did not waste any more time and directly made his way to Nailin Fei's study. Sing Hui, you're here. Please take a seat. Is it about the summit assembly? The preparations for the founding peak assembly are almost done. Besides, with you, the leader of the Life Alliance, and Wen Hui, the deputy leader of the Green Lotus Sword sect, the scale of the founding peak assembly is so high that more than 90% of the peak masters have set up a peak. There's no need to make it a big deal. The main purpose of the summit assembly is to publicize your power and the potential behind you so that others won't dare to act rashly. It will also pave the way for you to compete for the deputy sect master position in the future. There is no harm in holding a special event. Nailin Fei shook her head and hesitated for a moment before saying, Sing Hui, I invited you here for 2 things. The first is an invitation from our Hunyuan Heaven Sect Deputy Sect Master Bei Chongwang. He is holding a banquet in the Hunyuan Heaven Pavilion and wants to invite you over. The time will be tomorrow night. Bei Chongwang, the first Deputy Sect Master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? Why is he inviting me over? He didn't say. He probably values your Life League's potential and wants to recruit you. Bei Chongwang has great influence in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, so I suggest you go. Nailin Fei changed her words again. Of course, if you have something to do and don't feel the need to go, that's fine too. Sing Hui didn't take Bei Chongwang to heart. So what if he was the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? He had lived overseas for a long time and was far away. Even the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sect master, Zhuo Kunlun, might not be able to control him, let alone Bei Chongguang. However, considering that Nalan Fei had been staying in the Hunyuan Heaven sect and needed some allies, and Bei Chongguang was obviously a strong ally to her, he nodded slightly. I will go tomorrow. Okay. A smile appeared on Nalan Fei's face, and she seemed to be in a much better mood. However, when she thought of the second matter, she suddenly felt a headache. What's wrong? Nalan Fei hesitated for a long time before she slowly asked. Xing Hui, I heard from Yinxing that you and the Jinwu religion saintess, Lai Weiyang, are in love with each other and seem to have deep feelings for her. Is that true? Some readers say that the chapters have fewer words, but in fact, each chapter has more than 3,000 words. For example, the 3 chapters in front of me have more than 10,000 words in total. Chapter 249. Xing Hui, I heard from Yinxing that you and the Jinwu religion's holy maiden, Lai Weiyang, are in love with each other and seem to be deeply in love with her. Is this true? Nalan Fei slowly said. The Jinwu religion's holy maiden, Lai Weiyang? Xing Hui was slightly taken aback. Could it be that Zhui Yinxing wanted to ask Nalan Fei to go to the Jinwu religion to ask for her hand in marriage? He hurriedly waved his hand and said, Senior Sister Nalan, I know what you want to say. This is my personal matter, and I don't need you to interfere too much. I will find a way to solve it myself. When Nalan Fei heard Xing Hui's words, she immediately understood that Zhui Yunxing's words were true. She could not help but hesitate for a moment. Do you know who is the leader of the Jinwu religion's envoys that came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect today? Could it be Lai Weiyang? It is Lai Weiyang. Lai Weiyang came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Xing Hui was somewhat surprised. After a moment, he seemed to think of something. If my information is correct, she should have already cultivated to the spirit and chi stage. She is indeed at the spirit and chi stage. Moreover, she has been appointed as the Jinwu religion's vice sect master and is ranked first. As Nalan Fei spoke, she stared at Xing Hui and said, You should understand what I mean, right? First vice sect master. Xing Hui's face immediately lit up with joy. That's great. I didn't expect her to become the Jinwu religion's first vice sect master. If nothing unexpected happens, won't she be a candidate for the Jinwu religion's sect master in the future? It's pretty close. As Nalan Fei spoke, she hesitantly looked at Xing Hui. She really did not know how to tell Xing Hui that the Jinwu religion's Lai Weiyang had come to the Hunyuan Heaven sect to marry Jiesu. Xing Hui was a young talent that she had watched grow up. He was also the most outstanding talent in the Zhou family. He was young, but he had already become the alliance leader of the Life Alliance. He was a famous young talent in the entire Eastern Wilderness. It was true that he had great achievements, but he was still young. Being young meant that he was impulsive. If he were to learn of this news, he would fly into a rage and get into a conflict with the saint of the Jiesu sect. The consequences were unimaginable. Nalan Fei was worried that Xing Hui would not be able to accept the blow of the marriage between Lai Weiyang and Jiesu, while Xing Hui's mind quickly became active. Unity of spirit and chi, the first vice sect leader? After reaching the unity of spirit and chi, it should not be difficult to ask the sect for the 5th level of the Great Sun Golden Crow art. In addition, she was now the first deputy sect master. The Hunyuan Heaven sect would very likely pass on the 5th and 6th levels to her in one go. Although the eternal blazing sun refining method of the Great Sun Golden Crow art required one to reach the 6th level of the longevity stage, some extremely talented people could refine it at the Green Netherworld stage. Therefore, it was very likely that the 2 levels would be completed in one go. The Chasing Sun Sutra was indeed difficult to cultivate. Even if he had obtained the Torch Dragon Blood, he was only confident that he could cultivate it to the peak of the Green Netherworld stage. He still did not have full confidence in the Prominent Saint stage, but the Great Sun Golden Crow art was different. If he could obtain the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art in one go. Thinking of this, Xing Hui said bluntly, How long will the Jinwu religion visit the Hunyuan Heaven sect last? Which experts will be accompanying them? Nalan Fei glanced at Xing Hui. Although she was a little worried that Sing Hui would not be able to accept this blow and do something impulsive, she still replied, "The Jin Wu religion has specially sent a grand elder, a deputy sect master, and 4 law emperor experts to visit the Hunyuan Heaven sect. However, due to the enormous pressure the Jin Wu religion is currently facing, the sect's grand elder obviously cannot stay in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for long. I estimate that they will return in 3 to 5 days." Oh, Sing Hui's eyes brightened slightly. A grand elder, a deputy sect master, and 4 law emperor experts with the power he had with him. It was not impossible to devour them. Very good. Nalan Fei's heart sank when she saw Sing Hui's happy expression. From the looks of it, Sing Hui's feelings for Nalan Fei were truly deep. He was so happy even after hearing news of Lai Wuyang. For a time, she could only plan to go to Lai Wuyang's place and discuss this matter with him. Although she understood that even if she discussed this matter with Lai Wuyang, it would be very difficult for him to change the outcome of the marriage between the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion. However, looking at Sing Hui in front of her, she would not be satisfied if she did not try. A day quickly passed by. On the afternoon of the second day, Sing Hui personally appeared in the Tianji Pavilion at the invitation of Deputy Sect Master Cheng Guan. The Tianji Pavilion was located on one of the Hunyuan Heaven sect's 36 peaks. It could be considered one of the best buildings in the 36 peaks. Whether it was the wine or spirit fruits it provided, it was of extremely high quality. Unless one reached the awakening stage or had sufficient wealth, one would not have the qualifications to enter the Tianji Pavilion. Sing Hui stepped into the Tianji Pavilion. At this time, the Tianji Pavilion was still very lively. In addition to the elegantly decorated hall, there were also many private rooms. Not to mention the private rooms, the cultivators sitting in the booths in the hall were all at least in the awakening stage. Many of them were even at the true Qi stage or the spirit refining stage. This kind of cultivation level was already enough to get a good deacon seat in the Hunyuan Heaven sect and could be considered to have some authority. But even such people did not have the qualifications to enter a private room. From this, one could see how high the Tianji Pavilion was. Just as Sing Hui entered the Tianji Pavilion, a service staff immediately came up to welcome him. "Senior brother, do you have an appointment?" Deputy Sect Master Bei Cheng Guang asked me to discuss something here. "So, it's Hall Master Sing Hui? Sorry for the disrespect. The Deputy Sect Master has already instructed that if Hall Master Sing Hui comes, you should go to the Divine Grade Room 1. I will ask our front floor master to lead you there." As the waiter spoke, he bowed respectfully and gestured with his hand, leading the way in front. Guests like Sing Hui, who was a Deputy Hall Master, were extremely rare in the Tianji Pavilion. Not to mention, this Deputy Hall Master was a guest of the most powerful Deputy Sect Master in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. A small front desk staff like him naturally did not have the qualifications to receive him. The two walked towards the Tianji Pavilion for a while, and a middle-aged woman full of mature charm came out to welcome them. She said apologetically, "I did not know that Hall Master Sing Hui would be coming. Please forgive me for not going out to meet you. Our house master and Deputy Sect Master Bei are already waiting for you in the Divine Grade Room 1. Hall Master Sing Hui, please." The middle-aged woman's cultivation was extraordinary. She was already at the peak of the spirit refining realm and had hopes of stepping into the spirit Qi unity realm to become an elder. She had specially come downstairs to welcome Sing Hui, which naturally caused a small commotion in the crowd. However, Sing Hui did not pay attention to them. Under the middle-aged woman's lead, he directly arrived at the Divine Grade Room 1. Although it was only a private room, it actually took up an entire floor of the Tianji Pavilion's 28th floor. Moreover, it was the best 26th floor. Not only was it extremely large, but it was also filled with a large number of flowers and trees. It was also decorated with a large number of sun and moonlight stones. Walking inside was like walking into a garden of flowers. It was very pleasing to the eye. At this moment, there are already 6 people seated in the Divine Grade Room 1. One of them was naturally the Tianji Pavilion's house master, an elder at the Spirit Qi Unity stage. The other few people were all extraordinary without exception. However, the moment Sing Hui stepped into the Divine Grade Room 1, his gaze fell on a woman whose demeanor was even more elegant than before. Arashir Yudo. After not seeing her for several years, Arashir Yudo had already reached the true Qi stage. Her skin, demeanor, and appearance had undergone a huge transformation from inside out. She looked even more lovely and pure. Even in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, where beauties were as common as clouds, she could be considered one of the best. In particular, her slightly aggrieved appearance would cause others to have a strong impulse to protect her and involuntarily kneel before her. While Tsing Hui was looking at Arashir Yudo's gaze also landed on Tsing Hui. In addition to her somewhat hidden expression of fear, there was also a sliver of pride hidden in the depths of her eyes. Hall Master Tsing Hui, I've long heard of your great name. Please take a seat. Seeing Tsing Hui's gaze turn cold as he stared at Arashir Yudo, Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master, Bei Chongwang, frowned. However, he still stood up and gestured to the seat in front of him. Tsing Hui swept a glance over Bei Chongwang. When he saw Bei Chongwang holding hands with Arashir Yudo, he more or less guessed what was going on. His attitude immediately turned cold. There's no need for that. May I know why Deputy Sect Master Bei Chongwang has invited me here? Seeing Tsing Hui's attitude, the expression of a peak Qingming stage man beside Bei Chongwang immediately changed. He unhappily said, Cho Tsing Hui, you're just a deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall. Even if you have the Life Alliance backing you, you're in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. How can you not give face to our deputy sect master Bei Chongwang when he invites you to speak? Calm down, Hall Master Pingyang. Bei Chongwang waved his hand at the peak Qingming stage man. Perhaps there has been some misunderstanding that has caused Hall Master Tsing Hui to be a little unhappy. However, as our ancestor said, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. Right now, Hall Master Tsing Hui, like junior sister Arashir Yudo, is a part of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Even if there is a conflict between us, it should not continue. Otherwise, wouldn't the higher-ups and disciples of the Hunyuan Heaven sect become a joke if news of this spread? I've invited Hall Master Tsing Hui to this banquet in the hope that Hall Master Tsing Hui and junior sister Arashir Yudo can bury the hatchet and reconcile. Bury the hatchet. Tsing Hui's hatred for Arashir Yudo was not because she had cheated him of his Hunyuan Heaven sect inner disciple token, but because she had unhesitatingly ordered Yuan Yang to kill him after learning that he could threaten her position. That day, if it weren't for his recovery characteristics and his fish strength, he would have died at the hands of Yuan Yang, a blood transformation stage cultivator. His gaze immediately fell on Bei Chongwang. Vice Sect Master Bei Chongwang, you want to protect Arashir Yudo. Then, have you understood what happened? It's just that Yutong stole one of your inner sect disciple tokens. You're already a Hall Master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, so why are you still harping on such a small matter? If you want compensation, I'll give you 8 or 10 tokens. Don't tell me you want to use your status as a Deputy Hall Master to oppress others. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect is not your cloud desolate city. You can't rely on your authority to abuse your power. Bei Chonghua interrupted in dissatisfaction when he saw that Tsing Hui was still unwilling to let the matter go even though he had asked his elder brother to step in. Chongfen doesn't have any chapters at all. Today's outburst can be said to be written on the spot. All right, let's not talk anymore and continue to write. At least 5 chapters. More, not less. Chapter 250. An inner sect disciple token. Tsing Hui's gaze fell on Bei Chonghua as his expression turned a little cold. That inner sect disciple token was already the most precious treasure I had, and it was related to whether or not I could enter the Hunyuan Heaven sect. How could it be ordinary? Even if the Hunyuan Heaven sect's inner sect disciple token was an ordinary item, what was the reason for her to send a prominent saint stage expert to kill me in the future? Why don't we give it a try? I'll send someone to kill you, And if they don't kill you and your growth surpasses mine, I'll apologize to you. How does that sound? What are you talking about? The person who chased after you was only one of Yutong's followers. He was completely acting on his own accord. Yutong knew nothing about this matter. Otherwise, with how loyal and righteous she is, how could she possibly do such a thing? You clearly failed to obtain Yutong's heart back then, and now you're relying on the fact that you've established a haul to capture her and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. Bei Chonghua angrily stood up. Just as he was about to say something, Bei Chonghua sternly shouted, "Sit down." Humph! Bei Chonghua clearly did not dare to go against Bei Chonghuang's words. He unhappily snorted, but still sat back down. Hall Master Tsing Hui, I have more or less understood this matter, and if I look into the details, junior sister Yutong is indeed in the wrong. However, several years have already passed, and Hall Master Tsing Hui has not suffered any harm. Why don't you give me face and let this matter end here? Otherwise, if you really attack junior sister Yutong, it will be considered as fellow sect members killing each other, and it has always been a great taboo in the sect. As the vice sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, I will not sit by and watch such a thing happen. Tsing Hui glanced at Bei Chonghuang, then at Erishur Yudo, and could not help but laugh. It seems that vice sect master Bei is determined to protect Erishur Yudo. Junior sister Yutong is a member of our Hunyuan Heaven sect, and as the vice sect master, I naturally have a responsibility to protect her. Bei Zhongguang said, neither servile nor overbearing. Since Vice Patriarch Bei Zhongguang insists, I will take a step back. Back then, Lan Yutong sent people to hunt me down, and I killed that person. Right now, I have also sent someone to hunt her down. If Vice Patriarch Bei Zhongguang can kill that person, we will be even. Impudent. Who do you think you are? How dare a bandit leader threaten a true disciple of our Hunyuan Heaven sect? Bei Chonghua was furious. So what if you're a bandit leader? At least today, you're the ones who invited me, not the other way around. Bei Zhongguang heard that he was trying to negotiate with Tsing Hui in a nice way, but he was still being aggressive. Finally, Bei Zhongguang's calm face turned cold as he said, it seems that Palace Master Tsing Hui won't give up until you have your revenge. Since I've already stepped forward on behalf of junior sister Yutong, yet you're still so unwilling to yield. Where's my face? Face. Tsing Hui looked at Bei Zhongguang. Then, is Deputy Sect Master Bei Zhongguang's face more important? Or is my life, a Deputy Palace Master, more important? Life. Bei Zhongguang sneered. Deputy Palace Master Tsing Hui, although you have established a great force like the Life Moon Alliance overseas and have countless experts under your command, you are gravely mistaken if you think that no one can control you just because you're far away overseas. In front of a real big shot, what is the Life Moon Alliance in your hands? Back then, you and junior sister Yutong were lucky enough to preserve your life during the conflict. However, if you still refuse to realize your error, disregard my well-intentioned advice, and insist on pursuing this matter to the end, at that time, it would be unknown whether you would be able to preserve your life. As he spoke, Bei Zhongguang slowly took out a wine pot and poured a cup of wine into a cup on the table. Now, I can give you two choices. The first choice is to drink this cup of wine. From now on, the grudges between you two will be resolved. I, Bei Zhongguang, will treat you as a friend. If there's any good news, I'll definitely share it with you, Palace Master Tsing Hui. Bei Zhongguang didn't continue, but everyone present could understand what it meant if Tsing Hui didn't drink it. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was extremely stagnant. Tsing Hui glanced at the indifferent Bei Zhongguang, then at Bei Zhonghua, who looked unmoved, and at Erishur Yudo, who still looked pitiful and aggrieved. Finally, his eyes fell on the cup of wine on the table. After a moment, he stretched out his hand, held the wine cup, and slowly lifted it up. Seeing this scene, Bei Chonghua's eyes revealed a trace of a sneer. Lan Yutong's aggrieved mouth also hung a trace of contempt. Bei Chongguang, on the other hand, leaned back slightly with a calm smile on his face, as if everything was under his control. He had a reason to be unhurried. One was a childhood enemy, and the other was the vice sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, one of the 10 great sacred sections. He believed that anyone would know what to do to make the right choice. Even if Qing Su controlled a colossus like the Life League overseas and had more than a dozen Blue Netherworld Realm experts and over 100 Unity of Spirit Realm experts under his command, it was no exception to the fact that his forces were stronger than the forces he displayed on the surface. Don't forget, the Life Moon Alliance was just a rootless duckweed. Once it grew stronger, it would affect the balance of the 10 great sacred sects overseas and was bound to attract a thunderous blow from the 10 great sacred sections. This was also the reason why the Life Moon Alliance immediately wanted to cling to the Hunyuan Heaven sect and become a part of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Once the Hunyuan Heaven sect abandoned them, what awaited them would be a thunderous blow from the 10 great sacred sections. At that time, the entire Life Moon Alliance would be destroyed. Even Tsing Hui, the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance, would most likely die. A smart choice. Just when Bei Zhongguang saw Tsing Hui raise his wine cup and thought that victory was in his hands, Tsing Hui's right hand suddenly let go of the wine cup. Losing his grip, the exquisite porcelain wine cup suddenly fell from the air and smashed to the ground. Pah! The sound of the wine cup shattering clearly reverberated in the divine grade number 1 box. Along with it, the precious spirit wine splashed with water. This scene immediately made the expressions of Bei Chonghua, Lan Yutong, and Bei Chongguang, who were sneering, contemptuous, and confident that everything was under their control, freeze at the same time. The Palace Master of the Tranquil Sun Hall and the Palace Master of the Splendid Palace, as well as the Pavilion Master of the Tianji Pavilion, were similarly stunned. Looking at the wine cup that fell to the ground and the wine that splashed to the ground, even if everyone's reaction was slow, they still reacted immediately. The negotiation had failed. There was a big problem. This is my choice, Vice Sect Master Bei. Are you satisfied? Tsing Hui looked at Bei Zhongguang with a faint coldness in his eyes. Vice Sect Master Bei only considered your face and the consequences of offending you, Bei Zhongguang. Then, Bei Zhongguang, have you thought about what fate awaits you after offending me, Tsing Hui? After he finished speaking, he did not say anything more to Bei Zhongguang. He did not even look at his enemy, Erishur Yudo, as he directly turned around and stepped out of the divine grade number 1 box. Impudent. Seeing Tsing Hui turn around and leave, Bei Zhonghua, who only reacted after a while, flew into a rage. Bastard! How dare you speak to my brother with such an attitude and tone? Sit down. Bei Zhongguang shouted in a low voice as he stared coldly at Tsing Hui, who had just walked out of the divine grade number 1 box. No one knew what he was thinking. Sect Master, this Cho Tsing Hui really doesn't know what's good for him. Sect Master kindly invited him to the banquet and wanted to bury the hatchet with him. You've already shown him a very good attitude, but he thinks that he has a great influence overseas and dares to disregard Sect Master. He's really arrogant. I really don't know how such a junior who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth agreed to open a hall for him and let him become the Vice Hall Master of the Sea-Suppressing Palace. Seeing Bei Zhongguang's expression, Pingyang Hall Master pretended to be angry and said, "He's just a mere Vice Hall Master. He's not even a Hall Master, yet he dares to be so arrogant. Once he becomes the Hall Master of the Sea Calming Palace, wouldn't he climb over all of our heads?" Bei Zhonghua was also filled with righteous indignation. He only knew that Tsing Hui was the Vice Hall Master of the Sea-Suppressing Palace and guessed that he was probably an expert of the Green Netherworld Realm, but he didn't know what kind of terrible power Tsing Hui had overseas. However, Bei Zhongguang had a good relationship with his younger brother. In addition, he personally felt that although the Life League was powerful, it was just an attic in the sky. As long as he found its weak point, he could defeat it with one blow. Therefore, he only felt that it was troublesome to provoke such an enemy because of Bei Zhonghua, but he didn't really see him as a big trouble. He had always only had one big trouble, and that was the Holy Sun, Jiesu. Big brother, it's all my fault. If I hadn't offended him back then, you wouldn't have lost face today and let him be so arrogant in front of you. Arisher Yudo stepped forward and bowed softly. Well, since it has already happened, there's no point in saying anything else. Although Cho Tsing-hui is a threat, it's not to the extent that he can shake me. I'll take this grudge. It won't be long before he knows the consequences of offending me. You just need to live a good life with Zhonghua from now on. Bei Zhongguang said, his expression slightly cold, and warned, and put away your little thoughts. Arisher Yudo's heart trembled, but she still quickly lowered her head. Big brother, don't worry. I'll definitely follow Brother Zhonghua in the future and live a good life with him. Well, drink and eat. Don't ruin our interests because of the Vice Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace. Bei Zhongguang nodded. Some of Arisher Yudo's thoughts could not be hidden from his eyes. However, this Arisher Yudo's talent was not bad. At such a young age, she had already cultivated qi, and it was Saint Qi. In addition, Zhonghua really liked her, so Bei Zhongguang didn't reprimand her too much. He greeted everyone and quickly started eating, as if he didn't take Tsing-hui's matter to heart. This scene made the head of the Fecta parlor, who was worried that Tsing-hui and Bei Zhongguang would fight in the Fecta parlor, heave a sigh of relief. Chapter 5 is presented. This is not the end. Continue writing. Chungfin, prepare for Chapter 6. Chapter 251. Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Sacred Guest Hall. It was a hall dedicated to hosting the leaders of the 10 great sacred sects. At this moment, a figure walked out of the hall. It was the new peak master disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Qingluan Peak Master Nalan Fei. However, even though Nalan Fei had left the hall, she clearly still hadn't completely returned to her senses. Her brows were tightly knit together as she considered her attitude when she mentioned Green Ruins to Lai Wuyong earlier. Her reaction, wasn't it a little too intense? Could it be that the relationship between Tsing-hui and Lai Wuyong was not unrequited love on the part of Tsing-hui, but a mutual affection between the two? If this was the case, Tsing-hui might not be without hope. With concern for Tsing-hui's marriage, Nalan Fei returned to Qingluan Peak. A day passed by just like that. The next morning, Qingluan Peak finally ushered in the crucial moment of the Peak Establishment Assembly. Early in the morning, the entire Qingluan Peak was already filled with gongs and drums. They were fully prepared to welcome the guests who were about to visit. The entire Qingluan Peak was filled with colorful flags that fluttered in the wind. It looked very festive. Princess Lan Yu and the others had long sought refuge with Nalan Fei's forces, the Nalan family's forces, and some small sections. In groups of 3 to 5, they filled Qingluan Peak, causing it to be bustling with people and carriages. Not long after, a sword light flew from the void and landed on the Qingluan Peak's welcoming square. It was the deputy sect master of the Green Lotus Sword sect, Wen Hui. Although Wen Hui came because of Tsing-hui's face, Nalan Fei, as the Peak Master, immediately welcomed Wen Hui into Qingluan Peak and arranged a seat for him. Not long after Wen Hui's arrival, an elder of the Spirit Qi Unity stage represented the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's sect master, Zhuo Kunlun, to present a congratulatory silk banner. However, this kind of silk banner was actually given to every peak master by Zhuo Kunlun when they established their peak. Although everyone on Qingluan Peak was excited, they did not lose their composure. From the very beginning, it was the deputy lord and the messenger of the Lord. Such a good start made the people on Qingluan Peak look forward to the upcoming guests. Princess Lan Yu, Zhui Yinqing, and the others were gathered together, trying to figure out what kind of important guests would come today. But obviously, it was too early for them to rejoice. With the arrival of these two people, Qingluan Peak suddenly became deserted. For half the morning, not a single guest came to congratulate them. Not only that, as the actual auspicious day of the founding Peak Assembly approached, although some true disciples who were on good terms with Nalan Fei came to congratulate her, they didn't come in person. Instead, they sent their subordinates and followers to present some congratulatory gifts. Most of them were just small fries. The whole morning was quiet and could only be described as desolate. Everyone on Qingluan Peak could feel that something was wrong. Even the ordinary people, subordinates, and disciples on Qingluan Peak who did not know what was going on were whispering to each other, discussing if something had happened. In the reception hall of Qingluan Peak, Nayland Fei glanced at the time and faintly couldn't sit still. At this time, another man of the blood-changing stage came to congratulate her with a gift from a true disciple. She couldn't help but ask in a joking tone, "Didn't Junior Sister Peony say that she would definitely come today to congratulate me? I wonder what has delayed you. If there are any difficulties, you may as well tell me. If I can help you, I will not refuse." This, Senior Sister Peony, is really delayed by something and can't come in person to congratulate Senior Sister Nayland. I hope Senior Sister Nayland can forgive me. The man of the blood-changing stage bowed deeply. His attitude was extremely humble. Seeing him like this, Nayland Fei couldn't say anything. She could only say, "Take a seat." I'm really sorry, Senior Sister. I have to go back and report to Senior Sister Peony." Nayland Fei immediately waved her hand and said, "No more." Xing Hui, who was also sitting in the main guest seat, looked at the large banquet and wine that had been prepared, but now it seemed quite empty. He vaguely guessed something, but he still couldn't believe it. After a while, Jing Yun, who had inquired about the news from outside, carefully came to Xing Hui and Nayland Fei's side and whispered, "Senior Sister, Palace Master Xing Hui, I have inquired clearly. The disciples who originally wanted to come to our Qingluan Peak to congratulate us suddenly changed their itinerary because of an important person's words. They did not dare to come again." Important person? Which important person? I have been in the Hunyuan Heaven sect for so many years, and except for some grudges with the Sky Yuan Peak Master, I have not offended anyone. How could I be targeted by some important person? Nayland Fei was a little puzzled. "It's Beishang Wang, right?" Xing Hui asked. Jing Yun was taken aback for a moment, and then nodded solemnly. "It is Beishang Wang." Beishang Wang. Nayland Fei seemed to have thought of something, and her expression changed slightly. She turned to Xing Hui and asked, "Was it something that happened last night?" Erishur Yudo curried favor with Beishang Wang's younger brother, Beishang Hua. She wanted to use Beishang Wang's face to reconcile with me, but the negotiations fell through. Xing Hui explained briefly. Erishur Yudo, that woman, has some ability, but does she think that we can't do anything to her just because she has Beishang Wang's support? Too naive. However, as the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, how could Beishang Wang be so ignorant? How could he offend Xing Hui for a mere Erishur Yudo? Does he not know the power behind the Sea Calming Hall? Although the power behind the Sea Calming Hall isn't weak, Beishang Wang might not care about it. Perhaps in his eyes, the Life Moon Alliance is trying to curry favor with the Hunyuan Heaven sect to avoid being attacked by the other sects because of the Life Moon Alliance's strength. We should be the ones begging the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Qing Su's lips curled into a sneer. Lord Blood Dragon's Hall of Blood River and Lord Zhenhai's Divine Core Zhenhai had failed to gain the support of the 10 Saint sects after they had developed to a certain scale. Thus, they had been attacked by the experts sent by the Saint sects. In the eyes of most people in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Life Moon Alliance was similar to the Divine Sea Court and the Hall of Blood. At best, they were slightly stronger than the other two. Moreover, their alliance master was smarter and knew how to curry favor with the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Because of this, the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven sect felt a sense of superiority when they looked at the Life Moon Alliance. But how could they know the Life Moon Alliance's true trump card? If the 10 great sects really dared to send experts overseas to deal with the Life Moon Alliance like they did to the Hall of Blood and the Divine Sea Court, the Level 9 Saint Beast, how you living in the Life Moon Alliance's territory, would teach them how to behave. Xing Hui, since this matter is related to Beishang Wang, we can't treat it lightly. Beishang Wang is the most promising deputy sect master and is ranked first among the many deputy sect masters. Even if his position as the future sect master has been severely challenged with the rise of Jiesu, the forces he built up with the help of the reputation of the future sect master can't be underestimated. Jiesu has already reached the Qingming stage, So why hasn't the Hunyuan Heaven Sect announced him as the next sect master? It's because the power in Beishang Guang's hands is too strong. The sect master is worried that rashly announcing Jie Su's appointment will cause dissatisfaction with Beishang Guang and lead to internal strife in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Beishang Guang has such a force. Xing Hui was a little surprised. Absolutely. There are even rumors that Beishang Guang may have a Vision Saint stage expert under his command. Back then, when the competition between Beishang Guang and a deputy sect master was at its fiercest, a conflict broke out. But when both sides were about to suffer, the deputy sect master suddenly died. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect investigated and found that a Vision Saint stage expert killed him. Although the Hunyuan Heaven Sect didn't have any evidence and couldn't easily punish Beishang Guang became the biggest beneficiary at that time. It was by perfectly annexing the deputy sect master's forces that he soared into the sky and became the most promising deputy sect master to ascend the throne. Xing Hui nodded. If the peak master disciples of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect didn't have the support of important figures, how could they climb to the position of deputy sect master? Being able to become the first deputy sect master was itself a proof of ability. If Xing Hui underestimated these deputy sect masters because of their apparent power, it would be a big mistake. Fortunately, Xing Hui, your Sea Calming Hall is a little special. It is directly under the jurisdiction of the sect master, and even the supreme elders have to convene an elders meeting if they want to mobilize your Sea Calming Hall. Therefore, before Beishang Guang has something on you, he can't do anything to you, but you have to be careful in the future. I spend most of my time overseas. If Beishang Guang dares to go overseas to find trouble, I will let him know whose territory it is. But you, Xing Hui glanced at the rather empty Qinglan Peak and said apologetically, because of me, I've brought you trouble. It's nothing. Nalan Fei smiled. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Right now, because of Beishang Guang's words, these so-called friends have all avoided me. If something really happens in the future, how can I rely on them? Let me see their faces as soon as possible so that I can understand who I can be close to and who I can't be close to and avoid greater losses in the future. Xing Hui nodded, his expression a little gloomy. If Beishang Guang directly came for him, he wouldn't mind. After all, the two sides were ready for a conflict, but Beishang Guang didn't deal with him and instead targeted Nalan Fei. This made him secretly angry. First Deputy Sect Master? If I tear off your identity as the first Deputy Sect Master, I'd like to see if you can still have such a huge influence. Xing Hui glanced at Nalan Fei. Since Beishang Guang dared to involve Nalan Fei in dealing with him, then the matter of stripping Beishang Guang of his identity as the first Deputy Sect Master would be done by Nalan Fei. Don't worry, Beishang Guang. He won't be proud for long. Thank you to the little monster who can fly the sword. Thank you to Desert Sutian for the reward yesterday. Thank you for your support. Qingfen can only continue to write explosively in return. Chapter 252. Qinglan Peak had been preparing for a long time. The Grand Peak Founding Assembly had ended with a strong start and a weak finish under the interference of Beishang Guang, the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. With such a result, everyone on Qinglan Peak was naturally worried, and their worry for the future was written all over their faces. Even Nalan Fei was a little depressed. When Xing Hui saw this scene, his dissatisfaction with Beishang Guang grew even more. Beishang Guang, I haven't had the time to deal with you, but you've already played these little tricks. Do you really think I can't do anything to you just because you're the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? Xing Hui's eyes flashed coldly. If Beishang Guang had protected Erishur Yudo, he was only dissatisfied with him and didn't have any intention of taking action, but Beishang Guang's actions had already made Xing Hui want to kill him. Xing Hui, don't take it to heart. In fact, with the addition of the Life Moon Alliance, the power of Qinglan Peak is already stronger than ordinary Peak Master Disciples. As long as we continue to maintain this momentum, I believe that one day our Qinglan Peak will become the first peak of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Nalan Fei saw the strange look on Tsing Hui's face and comforted him. She was really afraid that Tsing Hui would act impulsively and rashly attack Bei Zhongguang. If Tsing Hui was injured because of this, she would feel guilty for the rest of her life. Senior Sister Nalan, don't worry, I understand. He has the identity of the deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Before I have enough confidence, or before I'm strong enough to ignore the attitude of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, I won't easily attack him and put myself in danger. Tsing Hui, the inland is different from the overseas. In the overseas world, the strong are respected. If anyone offends you, you can send troops to attack them, and no one can control you. But the inland is a society governed by law. In particular, sects like the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and the other 10 great sacred sects completely rely on the rules and regulations of the sect, let alone peak master disciples and hall master elders. Even the supreme elders of the Hall of Elders have to act according to the sect rules. Otherwise, the entire sect won't be able to operate normally. Senior Sister Nalan, you don't have to worry about me. I know what to do. As Tsing Hui spoke, he turned to Nalan Fei and said, although Bei Zhongguang can order elders and even hall masters around, you are a peak master disciple, and he can't order you around. However, to be safe, you should focus on cultivation for the next period of time. Don't go out easily. I will leave Lord Zhen Hai on Qinglan Peak. Even if you have to go on a long journey, remember to bring Lord Zhen Hai with you. With him by your side, your safety will be slightly guaranteed. There's no need. Although the Life Moon Alliance has wiped out most of the overseas forces, there are still many forces outside the rule of the Life Moon Alliance. Moreover, these forces have the support of some sacred sects, so it won't be easy to wipe them out. Therefore, it's better for Lord Zhen Hai to continue to follow you and fight for you. As for my safety, you don't have to worry at all. After I completed the Blood Dragon King's reward, I was summoned by a Saint Stage ancestor of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and was given a drop of Azure Phoenix Blood Essence. I will focus on refining this drop of Azure Phoenix Blood Essence and hope to take a step forward in the spirit and Qi unification stage. I'm afraid I won't be able to leave the Hunyuan Heaven Sect for 3 to 5 months. Oh. Tsing Hui was relieved to hear that Nalan Fei was going to train in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but after a moment of silence, he still said, Lord Zhen Hai will stay with you. If you really encounter a danger that even I can't deal with, there's no difference whether he's here or not. Seeing Tsing Hui's resolute attitude, Nalan Fei had no choice but to agree. I don't need you to protect me. Tsing Hui smiled and didn't say much. Instead, he said to Lord Zhen Hai, in a few days, you'll come with me to do something. After you're done, you can stay on Qinglan Peak. If there's anything, you can contact me in the Chaos Temple. Yes, I'll follow the Alliance Master's arrangement. Lord Zhen Hai inferred from Tsing Hui's attitude that Nalan Fei seemed to be very important to him, so he was very concerned about this task. Then that's it, Tsing Hui said. At this moment, when Hui also came up and said with a smile, Alliance Master Tsing Hui, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect is a big sect, but they don't know how to judge people. One of the deputy sect masters even pressured you many times. I don't think it's a good idea to stay in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Why don't you come to our Green Lotus Sword sect? Every sect has its own internal strife. Besides, Bei Zhongguang can act like a tyrant in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect because of his identity as the first deputy sect master. When he comes to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, do you think I won't have the means to deal with him? When Hui couldn't help laughing when he heard Tsing Hui's words. I forgot that Alliance Master Tsing Hui is not a weakling. Bei Zhongguang should be the one who should be careful. Tsing Hui glanced at Wen Hui. He should know that Bei Zhongguang still had hidden forces, but he didn't point it out. Instead, he hinted that his forces were superior to Bei Zhongguang's. He probably didn't have any good intentions. But he didn't care about this. When Hui was just a chess piece he placed in the Green Lotus Sword sect, it wasn't time to use him yet. He had some restless thoughts in his heart, but he didn't care. Alliance Master Tsing Hui, I'll take my leave first. I hope that Alliance Master Tsing Hui can come to our Green Lotus Sword sect if you have time. I, Wen Hui, will definitely welcome you with open arms. Sect Master Wen Hui is too polite. If there is a chance, I will definitely visit. Goodbye. Wen Hui nodded, then cupped his hands in salute. The next moment, he had already leapt up and was flying on his sword. In the blink of an eye, he was flying in the direction of the guest hall. As the deputy sect master of the Green Lotus Sword sect, even if he came to the Hunyuan Heaven sect in a private capacity, he still had to say a few words to the Hunyuan Heaven sect to make up for the formalities. Deputy sect master, one of the Green Lotus Sword sect, looks good. Unfortunately, the Green Lotus Sword sect has been weak for a long time, and its influence can't be compared with the other sacred sections. Otherwise, if a deputy sect master like him came to our Hunyuan Heaven sect, we would have hosted a banquet for him. Tsing Hui, when did you and deputy sect master Wen meet? Nailin Fei asked with a smile as she watched Wen Hui disappear into the clouds. It looks good. Tsing Hui's expression was a little strange when he heard her evaluation. After a while, he said, I don't think you want to know how deputy sect master Wen Hui and I met. Is that so? Nailin Fei saw that Tsing Hui didn't want to say anything, so she didn't force him. I'm going to arrange some trivial matters. I won't entertain you. You don't have to treat me like an outsider on Qinglan Peak. I understand. You can go. As Tsing Hui spoke, he swept a glance at the somewhat deserted Qinglan Peak Summit Assembly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He then turned around and headed back to his palace. King Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord, the Zhu Luo goddess, and the others followed closely behind. Alliance leader, do you want me to keep an eye on Beizhong Wang? Once he leaves the Hunyuan Heaven sect, we will immediately make a move and teach him an unforgettable lesson. King Zhenhai carefully observed Tsing Hui's expression and suggested with murderous intent. Those who dared to wander overseas were not easy to deal with. Each of the people in front of him had killed more than one true disciple of the 10 great sacred sects, and some had even killed elders of the 10 great sacred sects. Killing a deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect wouldn't be a big deal. There's no need. It's too easy to just kill him. Didn't Beizhong Wang want to use his power as the deputy sect master to oppress others? Then we will cut off his power one by one. Yu Xianshun is what Shao. The two of you don't have to return to the Life Alliance with me. Each of you will lead a team and investigate the forces under Beizhong Wang. I want to know if he still has the guts to speak in front of me after I destroy all his forces. Yes. Yu Xianshun and Zhua Shao respectfully accepted the order. Tsing Hui returned to his cultivation room and continued to devote his energy to the cultivation of the Jinshi Void technique. At the same time, he adjusted his essence, qi, and spirit to prepare for the consumption of the torch dragon blood. Time flew by, and 4 days had passed. Early in the morning, the Zhu Luo goddess quickly appeared outside Tsing Hui's cultivation room. She didn't care that the door wasn't open yet and transmitted a message inside. Alliance leader, the people from the Jin Wu religion that you asked me to pay attention to have made a move. It seems that they plan to leave today. Not long after her voice entered the cultivation room, the door opened. Immediately summoned King Zhenhai, the Moon Lake Lord and Tensha of Gojozi, in to see me. Yes, the Zhu Luo goddess answered and left. When Tsing Hui returned to the meeting hall after cleaning himself, King Zhenhai and the others were already waiting there. Alliance leader, Tsing Hui nodded and looked at Zhua Shao. I remember that you seem to have the art of disguise. How is it? Although there are some changes in my art of disguise, those green netherworld realm experts who are very sensitive to the qi of heaven and earth can still detect the abnormality. Only the abnormality? Can't identify the real body? Yes. Okay, immediately help us change our appearances. Although Zhua Shao didn't know what Tsing Hui wanted to do, he still did as he was told. After changing their appearance, the appearance of the 5 of them changed quite a bit. If it was someone close to them, they would be able to sense that something was wrong. Even a Green Hell Realm expert would be able to sense that something was wrong. However, ordinary people would not be able to see through it. Tsing Hui silently left the Hunyuan Heaven sect with the others and headed straight for the Sky Burial Forest, which was thousands of kilometers away from the Hunyuan Heaven sect. They quickly set up an ambush. Alliance leader, are we going to attack the people of the Jinwu religion? The Zuluo goddess remembered that Xing Hui had asked her to pay attention to the movements of the Jinwu religion during this period of time and immediately guessed what was going on. That's right. Although the Jinwu religion has sent many experts this time, the strongest are only deputy sect masters and Dharmaraja-level existences. The few of you delay these Dharmaraja and deputy sect masters for me. I will quickly take action and capture the Jinwu religion's holy maiden alive. Yes, although the few of them didn't know what grudges Xing Hui had with the Jinwu religion's holy maiden, they immediately agreed. Okay, don't talk too much. The Jinwu religion's people are here. As Xing Hui spoke, his gaze was already fixed on the edge of the void. There, the giant battleship belonging to the Jinwu religion was whistling through the wind and waves. Thank you to 201708191830591180 for your support. I've finally added this chapter, even though it's already past 12. I've made everyone wait for so long. Today's outburst was almost all done on Sunday. It's close to 20,000 words, and my head is a little dizzy. Chingfen is allowed to rest and sleep. Everyone should also rest early and recover your energy tomorrow. We'll continue our outburst the day after tomorrow. Outburst, outburst, outburst. Guaranteed outburst every week. Never stop. Chapter 253. Get ready. Xing Hui bellowed as he looked at the giant warship in the void. Lord Junhai, Goddess Zhu Luo, Tensha of Gojoseon, and the Moon Lake Lord, the fearless Qing Ming realm experts, also grew nervous. Although they were extremely daring and had killed true disciples and even elders of the 10 great sacred sects more than once, it was basically because their own safety was threatened and they had no choice but to fight back to protect themselves. Today, they had taken the initiative to ambush the Jinwu religion's high-level warship, and the target was Saintess Lai Wuyang, who had already been confirmed as the Jinwu religion's deputy sect master. This was absolutely unprecedented. Even for all the forces in the entire Ocean Islands, this was unprecedented. The deputy sect master was a core member of the sect and had the right to directly participate in the sect's decision-making. Ambushing such a powerful expert was tantamount to declaring war on the entire Jinwu religion. Thinking of the possible consequences of this matter, the four people couldn't help but tremble in fear. After the trembling, they felt a kind of excitement and madness from the bottom of their hearts. It was impossible for cowards to survive in the Ocean Islands. Since Alliance Master Xing Hui dared to lead them to ambush the Jinwu religion's team, they dared to kill them. Buzz buzz. Thousands of meters in the air, the Jinwu religion's warship braved the wind and waves as it rapidly moved forward. Its speed reached 300 to 400 kilometers per hour, but because it was in the void, it was difficult to see clearly. Attack. Destroy the warship first. Seeing how the battleship was about to whistle over their heads, Qing Su bellowed out and used a saint technique. His sword rose into the air, and a streak of light that could cleave apart the world appeared, shooting into the clouds. The sword light whistled through the air, and there seemed to be a lofty and mysterious figure of a huge dragon within the sword light. It radiated with a scorching presence as it ripped through space. Who dares to block my Jinwu religion's warship? How dare you attack our Hunyuan Heaven sect's distinguished guests in our territory? You're courting death. As Xing Hui's sword qi pierced through the void, several powerful and terrifying auras rose at the same time, stirring up the wind and clouds and causing the Yuan qi within a radius of several thousand meters to become chaotic. What shocked Xing Hui was that among the terrifying auras emitted from the warship, 2 of them had completely surpassed the limit of the Qingming realm and had reached the Vision Divine stage. Yuan He Qingjun, Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Moreover, there were 2 Supreme Elders. However, the shock brought by the 2 Hunyuan Heaven sect Grand Elders only lasted for a moment before Qing Su forcibly suppressed it. Supreme Elders? So what if they were two Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? Back when he was at the Spirit Qi Unite stage, he had been able to briefly exchange blows with Creation Evolution Sect Supreme Elders in Yangtze with the help of a Grade 6 Divine Weapon and survive a Vision Divine Strike. Now, not only had he broken through to the Qingming realm, the Divine Weapon in his hand, the armor on his body, and the flying sword under his feet had all reached Grade 9. With these weapons, Tsing Hui even dared to fight the two Supreme Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Shatter! His battle intent surged as Tsing Hui roared. The dazzling sword chi that shot into the sky released a resonant dragon's roar. Wherever the sword light passed, the void shattered, and the Yuan Qi in its path was completely torn apart by the sword Qi. This vacuum caused the Yuan Qi in other areas to flow backwards, causing the sword's momentum to be vast and mighty. It left an abyss-like sword scar in the void. Wind rose and clouds swirled. Suppress. Boundary Stone. When the two great elders, Yuan He and Qin Jun, saw how the Qing Su's attack had caused such a disturbance, they could no longer care about their numbers. They basically struck out at the same time, and an energy as lofty as a mountain with a crushing pressure collided heavily with the Qing Su's streak of light that seemed like it wanted to rip the sky to pieces. Suddenly, streams of light shot out. Mighty Yuan Qi formed a circle of ripples in the void that could be seen with the naked eye. It frantically swept out in all directions, tearing apart the Yuan Qi in clouds within a radius of several thousand meters. However, the two great elders were still in a hurry. They were not prepared enough. Even though they worked together to suppress Qing Su's strand of Scarlet Yang Sword Qi, as the space trembled and the clouds were ripped apart, the suppressive energy they created dispersed in half a second. The sword Qi that had been reduced by half erupted once again, shooting into the clouds. The chilling sharpness enveloped everyone on the entire battleship in a single instance. Not good. Retreat. The two Supreme Elders, Yuan He and Qin Jun, roared and acted at the same time. They took several important figures of the Jin Wu religion and soared into the sky. Almost as soon as they soared into the void, the sword Qi that tore apart the suppressive Yuan Qi formed by the two Supreme Elders had already cut through the large warship that was rampaging through the void. The terrifying sword Qi wantonly whistled, and the large warship, which was not inferior to a 6th-level low-grade, divine-grade warship, was instantly pierced through. The terrifying sword light entered the bottom of the warship and then shuttled through the deck, bringing with it countless fragments and planks as it soared into the sky. More than 10 experts of the Jin Wu religion who happened to be in the range of the sword light were swept up by the aftershock of the sword light and turned into a bloody mist on the spot. Among them, there was even an elder of the spirit and Qi unification realm. Bastard, seeing the Jin Wu religion warship that he was protecting being pierced through by Tsing Hui's sword Qi, Qin Jin flew into a rage. Divine manifestation. Rumble. A terrifying aura suddenly rolled out from her body, and a huge shadow of a heavenly rock appeared in the void, making a loud and clear cry. For a moment, the void seemed to be solidified by a terrifying force that was as majestic as a mountain. Tsing Hui's speed, which had soared into the sky and was about to completely destroy the warship, suddenly slowed down. Heavenly Rock, Sacred Body. Tsing Hui's eyes widened. Heavenly Rock, the bloodline of a sacred beast. Qin Jun in front of him had actually manifested the Heavenly Rock, Sacred Body. Wasn't that? Fortunately, Tsing Hui carefully stared at the shadow of the Heavenly Rock for a moment and breathed a sigh of relief. Although Qin Jun had manifested the Celestial Peng Sacred Body, it was obviously not solid enough. It was estimated that although she had cultivated the holy grade Celestial Peng Gang Qi, she had failed at the Sacred Body. However, with the help of some special treasure, the failed Celestial Peng Sacred Body was born, and it was close to the power of the Celestial Peng Sacred Body. Although it was a pseudo-Heavenly Rock Sacred Body that had been condensed with the help of external forces, Tsing Hui did not dare to underestimate it. Qin Jun was an expert of the middle stage of the prominent divine realm. Coupled with the power of the pseudo-heavenly rock sacred body, it was enough to contend with an expert of the late stage of the prominent divine realm. Now that the sacred body had manifested, the heavenly rock carried the power of space, which had already made him feel as if he had fallen into a quagmire. Heavenly rock soared wings. With the appearance of the heavenly rock's sacred body, the power of Qin Jun's body erupted to an unprecedented level. In addition, she had activated the innate killing move of the heavenly rock's sacred body. The wings of the manifested heavenly rock's sacred body flapped, and the feathers in the wings actually turned into divine swords that tore through the void. They whistled and flew toward Tsing Hui, whose speed had been affected. The sharpness of each divine sword made Tsing Hui feel a chill down his spine. "Open for me." Seeing these heavenly rock sword wings that were shot out by the heavenly rock sword wings were about to strangle him, Tsing Hui let out a low roar. The fire of the heavenly rock's sacred body erupted, brazenly tearing apart the power of the heavenly rock's sacred body to control the void. His figure whistled and soared into the sky. While avoiding the heavenly rock sword wings, the heavenly rock's sacred body's power of control over the void, the heavenly rock's sacred sword in his hand also erupted with sword light. The sword light and the sword shadows of the heavenly rock's sword wings crazily shot and collided. The space of several hundred meters between the two suddenly burst into endless flames. Countless scattered sword chi sputtered in all directions, tearing a large number of holes in the large battleships of the Jinwu religion that did not have time to turn and escape. He actually blocked it on one side. Yuan, he saw the sword in Qing Su's hand constantly collide with Qin Jun's celestial pung sword wings, and his gaze immediately became extremely stern. Although my cultivation is slightly stronger than Qin Jun's, having reached late illustrious Saint Realm, late illustrious Saint Realm cultivators only have denser true chi compared to mid illustrious Saint Realm cultivators, which is why I can maintain my Saint physique for longer. In terms of the strength of my Saint physique, my winning fish Saint physique is slightly weaker than Qin Jun's celestial pung Saint physique. Qin Jun has summoned her Saint physique, but she can't do anything to this assassin? Where did this expert come from? Create, evolve mysterious sect? They learned that our Hunyuan Heaven sect wants to reinforce the Jinwu religion and tried to kill the saintess of the Jinwu religion, Lai Wuyang, in our Hunyuan Heaven sect territory to frame our Hunyuan Heaven sect and drive a wedge between our two sects. Not only was Yuan he dumbfounded, but even Lord Jinhai, Tinsha of Gojoseon, Godazu Luo, and the Moon Lake Master, as well as the Jinwu religion's people who had fled to the side, were shocked. Alliance leader has such strength? Grand Elder, that's the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder, and he's a Grand Elder who has revealed his saint physique. Alliance leader can actually fight to a draw with a Grand Elder who has revealed his saint physique. Lord Jinhai sucked in a breath of cold air. He had fought with a prominent saint stage expert before, and he knew how terrifying a prominent saint stage expert was. Once a prominent saint stage expert summoned his saint physique, he had the terrifying strength to kill more than 90% of Qingming realm experts. In particular, a prominent saint stage expert from a sacred sect, like the Hunyuan Heaven sect, was so powerful that it made people tremble. When he saw Tsing Hui kill the Blood WRM King, he had already guessed that Tsing Hui's strength was not something he could resist. But it was not until this moment, when he saw Tsing Hui face the attack of a Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder who had revealed his saint physique, that he understood the gap between the two of them. If he wanted to kill him, it would only take a single thought to make the difference between heaven and earth. What kind of expert is this? Why does he want to kill us? Elder Qin Jun's heavenly pung saint physique is famous in the prominent saint stage. The person in front of us can block Elder Qin Jun's attack without using the power of the prominent saint stage. He's definitely not a nobody. Could it be a saint stage ancestor from the Gate of Good Fortune? The Jinwu religion's deputy sect master, Luo Rieo, had an ugly expression as he stared at the figure fighting Qin Jun. This person has obviously changed his appearance and is hiding his head and tail. I think he's most likely from the Creation mystical sect. Besides the Creation mystical sect, I can't think of any other force that can send such an expert. They've obviously received news that we want to form a marriage alliance with the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and they're not willing to leave us any chance of survival. Another Jin Wu religion's Law King said angrily. Compared to the other Jin Wu religion's anger, Lai Wuyong's expression was a little strange. Her starry eyes stared fixedly at the figure who was fighting fiercely with Elder Qin Ran. For some reason, she faintly felt a familiar aura from that figure, but she couldn't recall it for a while. After yesterday's explosion, today's subscriptions have dropped tremendously. I hope everyone can subscribe and support us. I don't ask for anything else but to be able to replace the lost subscriptions. Chapter 254. Everyone be careful. Seeing that Qin Jun was unable to take down this thief by himself, Yuan he could no longer stand by and watch. In the next moment, a vast wave of genuine qi surged from his body, directly transforming into a majestic sea. In the sea, waves roared, and a large fish with a pair of wings on its back swam rapidly in the sea. The winning fish possessed the Kuan Peng bloodline. When Yuan he was in the blood transformation realm, he was ambitious and wanted to cultivate the black hole scripture to awaken the Kuan Peng bloodline. However, due to his limited talent, he could only awaken the Kuan Peng bloodline. Later, he was suppressed by the other disciples of the sect, and his cultivation in the true qi and spirit refining realms were not satisfactory. Even though his status gradually improved and he obtained more resources, when he was in the prominent divine stage, he could only manifest the winning fish saint physique, which was of little value in the inland. Although the winning fish saint physique was of little value, a saint physique was still a saint physique. No matter how weak a saint physique was, it was not something a prominent divine stage cultivator could easily contend against. As the Origin River saint physique manifested, the figure of the winning fish actually directly turned into a huge wave of true qi, directly surging towards Qin Su, who was dodging rapidly. Rolling wave. Waves of true qi whistled out, completely engulfing Qin Su in an overwhelming manner. It caused his speed to plummet by several times. Void Shackle. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Qin Jun's true qi surged into the heavenly Peng shadow, causing it to let out a loud cry. The space 100 meters around Qin Su seemed to freeze with this long cry. Anyone who dares to commit murder in my Hunyuan Heaven sect will only have one ending, and that is death. The heavenly Peng sword wings burst out, and thousands of sword lights finally tore apart the sword qi seal formed by the divine sword in Tsing Hui's hand and slashed at his body. Bang! 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 Sparks sputtered. Hundreds and thousands of sword lights slashed at Tsing Hui's body like a storm. Dazzling sparks burst out from the dragon-shaped gang energy that appeared on the surface of Tsing Hui's body, as if they were slashing at a refined gold armor. Although Tsing Hui's body was constantly pushed back by the sword light, and his internal organs were almost shattered by the heavenly rock sword wings, he still managed to hold on. This was also the reason why his physical body had been released 4 times and had been tempered by the dragon's beard root. His physical body was far stronger than ordinary green Netherworld Realm experts. If it were other green Netherworld Realm experts, even if they were given a level 10 armor, the vibrating force from the heavenly rock sword wings would still be enough to shatter their internal organs and shake them to death. Tsing Hui spat out a mouthful of blood, relying on his recovery ability that had reached the Type 6 realm. He forced himself to endure the internal injuries. He then gasped for breath, trying to rouse himself. Flowing fire. His genuine qi burst out, and the flowing fire sword under his feet shot out a dazzling light. At the same time, he raised the level 9 divine weapon in his hand. Instead of blocking the heavenly rock sword wings, he slashed out with his sword. like splitting the river and splitting the sea. He cut apart the wave formed by Yuan He's Yu's bloodline. Taking advantage of this gap, the flying sword burst out at full speed and rushed out of the blockade of this huge wave. Good. Below, Lord Jin Hai and the others who had followed Sing Hui couldn't help but shout excitedly. Qin Jun and Yuan He's expressions were even more solemn. After escaping from a joint attack range of Qin Jun and Yuan He, Sing Hui no longer confronted the two prominent divine stage experts head-on. Relying on the speed of the level 9 flying fire sword and the sharpness of the level 9 divine sword, he whizzed around the two and continuously attacked. Even though Qin Jun's heavenly rock sword wings followed closely behind Sing Hui and tried to envelop him, without exception, he used the advantage of his high speed to avoid them. The flying sword under his feet is at least level 8, and it's very likely to be upper level 8. Moreover, the armor and divine weapon on his body are all level 8 and above. Qin Jun's eyes were filled with a trace of powerless anger. Armor, divine weapon, an upper level 8 flying sword. There's no doubt that he's from the Creation Mysterious sect. Even our Hunyuan Heaven sect only had one level 8 flying sword before joining the Sword Shadow sect. The Creation Mysterious sect really doesn't want to give up on destroying our Hunyuan Heaven sect and Jin Wu religion. Yuan He's face was also filled with anger. Since he wants to die, we'll fulfill his wish. If I'm not wrong, although he blocked my heavenly rock sword wings with the help of the armor, he must be seriously injured. Let's join forces and kill him here. No, don't forget that he hasn't revealed his saint body yet. Once he reveals his saint body, how can the two of us resist? Moreover, how much true chi do you have left after the fight just now? Yuan He's words caused the killing intent in Qin Jun's heart to drop. Just now, I continuously activated the innate power of the heavenly rock's sacred body, and my true chi consumption is quite serious. At most, in 3 more breaths, the power of the saint body will fade, and in 6 breaths, the saint body will completely dissipate. Qin Jun's words made Yuan He's heart sink. It was true that the saint physique of a prominent divine expert possessed an incomparably terrifying battle prowess, but the duration was their biggest problem. Originally, with Qin Jun's middle stage prominent divine expert's saint physique, she wouldn't be so weak after manifesting her saint physique. However, the problem was that with the help of a rare treasure, she had forcefully manifested her saint physique to the extent of heavenly rock's saint physique. I could still hold on for a while. Among the Jin Wu religions group, the most honorable ones are Vice Sect Master Luo Rieo and Lai Wuyang. Luo Rieo and Lai Wuyang must not die in our Hunyuan Heaven sect's territory. If we protect them, the Creation Mysterious sect's plot to drive a wedge between us will collapse. You take these 2 people to the sect immediately. I've already sent a message to the sect's Grand Elders, and they will immediately come to join you. I'll bring up the rear for you. Senior Brother Yuan He, be careful. Qin Jun also made a prompt decision. This place was only 1,000 kilometers away from the Hunyuan Heaven sect. With her full strength and the speed of a grade 7 flying sword, it would take her half an hour to cross this distance. If the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elders were included, it would only take an incense stick's worth of time for them to officially meet up and become safe. Go. In order to preserve her true chi, Qin Jun quickly withdrew her saint body and then grabbed Lai Wuyang and Luo Rieo, the 2 core members of the Jin Wu religion. A flying sword instantly appeared under her feet, and she flew away at an incredible speed. Want to leave? Sing Hui, who was dodging Qin Jun's heavenly rock sword wings, saw that Qin Jun was actually planning to escape. It would have been fine if she had escaped by herself, but she had taken away his greatest target, Lai Wuyang. Why had Qin Su ambushed Lai Wuyang this time, even going as far as to go against 2 Grand Elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect? Wasn't it because he wanted to capture Lai Wuyang and force her to hand over the 5th and 6th layers of the Great Sun Golden Crow art? If he let Qin Jun take her away, then everything he had done would have been meaningless. Stay! Sing Hui roared, and the sword light under his feet whistled. like a stream of light shooting straight toward Qin Jun's fleeing figure. Your opponent is me. Surge. Yuan He had been staring at Qing Su since a long time ago. When he saw him chase after Lai Wuyang and Luo Rieo, the tsunami condensed from true qi above his head immediately became even more powerful. It enveloped Qing Su's head like it was about to collapse the sky. Scram! Sing Hui roared. Compared to Qin Jun, the power of Yuan He's divine physique was a bit weaker. The torrential tsunami that came crashing down only stopped him for a moment before he suddenly burst out with sword qi. Relying on the sharp edge of the 9th-level divine weapon, he completely tore apart the tsunami and broke out of the encirclement of the genuine qi waves. At the same time, he shouted at King Zhenhai, "Stop him for me." King Zhenhai's heart shook. Prominent Saint Stage. He was definitely not a match for a prominent Saint Stage expert who had manifested a saint body. However, he didn't dare to disobey Sing Hui's order. Even if he knew that it was very likely that his life would be in danger, he still gritted his teeth and charged forward without hesitation. Using his divine art, he displayed the terrifying battle strength of an intermediate prominent Saint Stage expert. Seeing King Zhenhai suddenly charging over, Yuan He was furious at first, but then he seemed to have guessed something. No, the aura on that bastard body isn't right. I don't feel any aura of a prominent saint expert on his body. The reason why he can be so strong to the point of being able to stand shoulder to shoulder with a prominent saint expert is because the bloodline he awakened is too strong. Divine rank astral energy. That's right, he must have cultivated divine grade astral energy. And with divine grade astral energy as his foundation and the divine art, coupled with the fact that he has a level 8 or even a level 9 divine weapon by his side, only then would he be able to fight so well with us. In other words, he's actually just a paper tiger that's strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. Once the time limit of the divine art expires, facing us 2 prominent divine stage experts and the endless stream of experts from my sect, only death would await him. With this thought, Yuan He suddenly became excited. We know very well what kind of methods the create, evolve mysterious sects, grand elders, and Saint Stage ancestors have. He doesn't dare to let such people come, so he can only send such a secret weapon to infiltrate our Hunyuan heavenly sect. If we can kill such a secret weapon, it will be a huge loss to the create, evolve mysterious sect. He did not hesitate to send a message to Qin Jun, who was fleeing. At the same time, Qin Jun fled with Luo Rieo and Lai Wuyang. Moments later, Luo Rieo reacted and said to Qin Jun, "Elder Qin Jun, there's no need for us to flee in such a hurry." Although the Jin Wu religion did not send a grand elder to accompany us, this matter is of great importance. To ensure our safety, the religion has specially brought us some eternal blazing suns. Eternal blazing suns? How many? Qin Jun naturally understood the power of the Jin Wu religion's eternal blazing suns. 10. A total of 10. It's enough to kill a Saint Stage expert. Great. Qin Jun's face lit up with joy. Then the identity token on her body lit up again. Apparently, she had received a message from Yuan He. After glancing at the message, she immediately waved her hand and said, "These bastards from the creation mystical sect are really audacious. Today, I will make them pay a heavy price. Let's go, we'll kill our way back." Many sword cultivators don't know where our base is. Group number 347695635. Gather. Chapter 255. Qin Jun turned around and returned with Lai Wuyang and Luo Rieo, and they encountered Qing Su, who was pursuing them at the first possible moment. I'll use my innate ability to restrict his movements. You take out the eternal blazing sun and kill him in one blow. Qin Jun shouted in a low voice, and the phantom of the celestial rock's sacred body appeared behind her again. It let out a loud and clear cry, and a circle of ripples spread out in the void, blocking Sing Hui in the void. Attack! There was no need for Qin Jun to shout. The moment Xing Hui was blocked, Luo Rieo had already taken out an eternal blazing sun, and it shot toward Xing Hui like a resplendent stream of light. Xing Hui, who had used the flying sword flowing fire to break free from Qin Zhen's confinement, saw the eternal blazing sun flying toward him, and his expression changed. However, with the Yang devouring bead and the level 9 armor on him, he wasn't too afraid. He just took out the Yang devouring bead as he retreated. Rumble! The eternal blazing sun exploded in an instant, and for a moment, the dazzling flames mixed with a mighty and blazing torrent filled the void within a radius of a few thousand meters, tearing apart the clouds in this area. The endless light and heat were so intense that it was almost impossible to look straight at them. His aura didn't fall. That armor helped him block more than 90% of the explosion's power. Under the stimulation of the intense light, although Qin Zhen couldn't see the scene in the center of the eternal blazing sun, she could determine Xing Hui's state of life through the aura on his body. She immediately shouted, "Quick! Continue! Continue!" Luo Rieo didn't dare to hesitate and took out the second eternal blazing Sunday. In an instant, the light and heat that were faintly dissipating in the void within a radius of several thousand meters once again shone. A deafening explosion mixed with a blazing shockwave that shook the heavens and earth once again swept out. If it wasn't for the fact that everyone present had a cultivation of divine energy unison realm or above, just the energy shockwave formed by this explosion alone would have been enough to blow them several kilometers away. It's still not enough. Continue. Damn it. Every eternal blazing sun was equivalent to a strategic resource of the Jin Wu religion. In the entire Jin Wu religion, there were less than 100 eternal blazing suns. Luo Rieo was naturally heartbroken that he had lost 2 eternal blazing suns in one go. But even though his heart ached, he also understood that the situation in front of him was related to their life and death. There was no room for hesitation. Therefore, when Qin Zhen felt that the enemy's aura had not dropped much, he had already thrown out the third eternal blazing Sunday. His aura has dropped, but it's not enough. This level isn't enough to kill him. Continue, rumble. 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 The eternal blazing suns, which contained the power to destroy heaven and earth, were constantly detonated. The terrifying temperature contained in the terrifying explosions rendered the void within a radius of several thousand meters into a lava purgatory. Even Qin Zhen and the others, who were several thousand meters away, could feel the sharp rise in the surrounding temperature. Compared to other places, the temperature here was already several dozen degrees higher than the outside world. All the trees and flowers on the ground had spontaneously combusted, and billowing smoke accompanied by the flames of the burning earth filled the area within a few dozen kilometers. He can't hold on any longer. He wants to run. He wants to escape. Chase after him and give him 1 or 2 more eternal blazing suns. It's enough to kill him completely. After another 3 eternal blazing suns were detonated, Qin Zhen's face finally revealed a look of surprise. He shouted and immediately led Luo Rieo and Lai Wuyang away from the core of the explosion and quickly chased after the enemy. At this moment, Xing Hui, who had been smashed by 6 eternal blazing suns, also felt as though he had been smashed silly. With the Yang devouring bead and the armor on his body that had reached the 9th level, he originally thought that a mere eternal blazing sun would not be able to do anything to him. Therefore, when faced with Luo Rio's eternal blazing sun, not only did he not retreat, he even thought of withstanding the explosive force of the eternal blazing sun, facing it head-on, and then capturing Lai Wuyang in one fell swoop. But he never expected that Luo Rieo would have so many eternal blazing suns in his hands. If 1 was not enough, he would use 2. If 2 were not enough, he would use 3. If 3 were not enough, he would use a 4th, 5th, and 6th. It seemed as though there was no end to it. The Yang devouring bead was already barely able to withstand the explosive force of the eternal blazing Sunday. After being smashed by several eternal blazing suns at the same time, its light immediately dimmed. When the fourth eternal blazing sun was smashed, the Yang devouring bead's endurance reached its limit and shattered with a loud bang. As for the fifth and sixth eternal blazing sun, he completely relied on the defense of the ninth level armor and his understanding of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique to resist. But even so, after being hit by two eternal blazing suns consecutively, the light of the ninth level armor still dimmed. It was estimated that if it was hit by another eternal blazing sun, it would immediately sink into depression. However, Tsinghui did not know how many eternal blazing suns Luo Rieo had. Under such circumstances, even though he was unwilling to let go of the opportunity to capture Lai Wuyang alive and force him to reveal the Great Sun Golden Crow technique, in the face of life and death, he could only turn around and flee as fast as he could. Rumble. Not long after he fled, the seventh eternal blazing sun had already exploded behind him. Endless light and heat waves once again engulfed his body completely. Even though this eternal blazing sun did not hit him directly, the shock waves and blazing heat contained within it still caused the already precarious ninth level armor to completely disappear into his body. The spirituality on it was almost completely scattered, and he would not be able to use it again in a short period of time. Fortunately, with the help of the explosive force, he spat out a mouthful of blood that instantly evaporated. At the same time, he also borrowed the flowing fire sword's ability to absorb the power of flames to escape from the blazing flames with a whistle, and quickly pulled apart the distance between himself and Qingjun, Luo Rieo, Lai Wuyang, and the others. The Jin Wu religion has so many eternal blazing suns, but instead of keeping them to deal with the create, evolve mysterious sect, they squandered them on me. Aren't they afraid that the create, evolve mysterious sect will take advantage of the fact that they don't have any eternal blazing suns? Tsinghui's heart was filled with depression. It had to be said that ever since he came inland, apart from refining the roaming dragon blood transformation powder, nothing else had gone smoothly for him. Not only did he make an enemy of Bei Zhongwang, but he had also encountered two Hunyuan Heaven Sect Grand Elders when he came to ambush Lai Wuyang. After much difficulty, he had used delaying tactics to repel the two Grand Elders. The Jin Wu religion's Luo Rieo had also summoned 7 eternal blazing suns, which not only destroyed the Yang devouring bead, but also made him dizzy. Once Lai Wuyang escaped to the Jin Wu religion, it would be extremely difficult to snatch the 5th and 6th levels of the Great Sun Golden Crow art from her. Senior brother Yuan He, stop him! At this moment, a long roar suddenly sounded from behind. Yuan He, who had shaken off King Jinhai, was sweeping up torrential waves and rushing over. If Tsinghui continued to move forward, he would most likely fall into the waves formed by Yuan He's winning fish saint physique and be entangled by the layers of waves. Seeing this, Tsinghui's expression changed slightly. In the next moment, his figure had already soared into the air. Borrowing the speed of the flowing fire sword, he was like a stream of light piercing through the sky, rushing straight into the void at full speed. Trying to escape, Qingjun, who was still some distance away from Tsinghui, saw that Tsinghui wanted to escape from the sky. Her eyes flashed, and her body erupted with true qi. It was as if she had cast a teleportation technique, instantly closing the distance between her and Tsinghui by a full 3 kilometers. Black Hole Sutra's secret art, Skyward Walk. Imprison. After widening the distance between herself and Tsinghui, the heavenly rock shadow behind her suddenly stretched out, leaving her body and enveloping Tsinghui's figure, causing the space 100 meters in front of Tsinghui to completely freeze. Casting this kind of secret art took a great toll on Qingjun's body. She spat out a mouthful of blood, and her aura plummeted to the bottom. Quick! Eternal Blazing Sun. Use the Eternal Blazing Sun. Use 3 at the same time and kill him completely. The fall of such a top genius will definitely hurt the create, evolve mysterious sect. Qingjun did not care about her own weakness at all, and immediately shouted at Luo Rieo beside her. Luo Rieo was also very good at seizing opportunities. Almost before Qin Jun finished speaking, the remaining 3 eternal blazing suns in his hand had been cast out at the same time. They turned into 3 bright streams of light, fiercely bombarding the imprisoned Xing Hui in the void. Break for me. Xing Hui, who was imprisoned in the void, saw this scene and anxiously roared. He did not care about the damage to his meridians caused by the full eruption of his true qi and poured all his power into the flowing fire sword. For a moment, the figures of the Golden Crow and the Torch Dragon appeared behind him at the same time. After receiving the true qi of the Golden Crow and the true qi of the Scarlet Yang, the flowing fire sword finally produced a resonant thrum. It broke free from the spatial prison formed by the celestial Peng Saint body with Qing Su. Golden Crow? Torch Dragon? Lai Wuyang, who had been staring at Xing Hui and felt that Xing Hui was quite familiar, saw the Golden Crow phantoms behind Xing Hui, and suddenly remembered where the sense of familiarity came from. He could not help but exclaim, "Cho Xing Hui, you're the Alliance Master of the Life League." Cho Xing Hui. Cho Xing Hui, Alliance Master of the Life League, Master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sex, C. Suppressing Hall? Qin Jun, whose face was full of murderous intent and seemed to think that victory was in sight, couldn't help but be taken aback by Lai Wuyang's shout. Unfortunately, Lai Wuyang's shout was a little too late. Even Xing Hui was too late. He had broken free from the space imprisonment formed by the Heavenly Rock's sacred body for too long. When he finally broke free from the imprisonment, the 3 eternal blazing suns had already bombarded 100 meters in front of him, and then they suddenly exploded. Rumble. The power of 3 eternal blazing suns exploding at the same time was not something that one eternal blazing sun could compare to. Under everyone's horrified gazes, a ball of light that was twice as large as the previous one suddenly exploded. It was as if a blazing sun had fallen. Endless brilliance and a terrifying stream of light that was enough to kill an ordinary saint expert completely exploded in the void, incinerating, annihilating, and turning everything within 10,000 meters into nothingness. A new Alliance Master, Fan Yuhang, was born at 3 in the afternoon. Update for the new Alliance Master. Thank you for your support. Chapter 256. Alliance Master. No. How could this be? In the distance, Lord Zhun Hai, Goddess Zhu Luo, Tensha of Gojoseon, the Moon Lake Master, and the others stared dumbfoundedly at the figure completely engulfed in flames. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Dead? Alliance Master Xing Hui of the Life Alliance had died, just like that? Not only them, but Elder Qin Jun of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was also a little shocked. However, the reason for her astonishment was not that Xing Hui had been killed by 3 eternal blazing suns, but Lai Wuyang couldn't help but blurt out in surprise. The man in front of her was not a hidden expert of the Create, Evolve, mysterious sect, but the Alliance Master of the Life Alliance, Cho Xing Hui, the person who had just joined the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and was summoned by Sect Masters Wakun Lun to be conferred the position of Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall. Compared to the Life Alliance, Qin Jun and the others, Lai Wuyang's thoughts were more complicated. The reason for this series of complicated thoughts was ultimately because of what Nayland Fei had said to her not long ago. But now, whether those words were true or false, and the benefits behind this matter were no longer important. The previous 7 eternal blazing suns had already blown Xing Hui to the brink of exhaustion, and even the treasure that could withstand 1 or 2 attacks from the eternal blazing suns seemed to have been destroyed. Now that he was struck by 3 eternal blazing suns at the same time, the outcome could be said to be certain death. Rumble. Just as everyone was about to turn around and leave, the 3 eternal blazing suns exploded at the same time. Amidst the extremely bright and glossy light, an aura that wasn't considered astonishing suddenly erupted. Even though this aura wasn't strong, every single strand of energy seemed to contain a shocking pressure. As soon as it appeared, it actually carried a might that could split rivers and overturn seas, completely tearing apart and suppressing the blazing flame energy before him. This is such an abrupt change caused the originally shocked crowd to widen their eyes at the same time. They couldn't care less about the dazzling light from the explosion of the eternal blazing suns, and tried their best to look at the center of the explosion. They saw an immortal-like figure quietly appear in the dazzling, eternal blazing suns. With a wave of his hand, the explosive power that contained the power to destroy heaven and earth was forcibly suppressed. Then, he parted his hand, and a gap was torn open in the endless, eternal, blazing suns formed. No matter how the surrounding flame power raged and attacked, it still couldn't destroy the eternal blazing suns in the end. However, Ching Su, who originally thought he would not be able to escape death today, suddenly returned to his senses after being stunned. He shot off on his sword as soon as possible, rapidly leaving the center of the explosion of the three eternal suns. Protective Jade Talisman. It's a protective jade. Seeing the figure that appeared in the void, Qin Jun immediately recognized it and exclaimed in shock. This protective jade talisman. The power contained in it is only at the level of the green netherworld realm, but the quality of the power is far beyond everyone's imagination. This level of power can actually exert a terrifying power that isn't inferior to the Sage realm. The cultivation of this protective jade talisman can definitely be said to be extremely high, and it's very likely that it's an almighty who has cultivated divine power. Yuan He, who came from afar, was shocked. A protective talisman given by an almighty? There's an almighty behind the person in front of me. Rumble. In the void, the power of the simultaneous explosion of the three eternal blazing suns was still raging wildly, quickly swallowing up the figure that appeared. However, with the protection of that figure, Tsing Hui had already escaped from the core area of the explosion of the eternal blazing suns. At that moment, he almost thought that he was going to die. If it weren't for the fact that esteemed Zhu Zhao had left a power in the cultivation technique of the Torch Sun Sutra that exploded at the critical moment to protect his body, he would have died without a complete corpse under the explosion of the three eternal blazing suns. During this period of time, as his chaotic level had risen to level 25, he had used the incarnation technique to travel the infinite wasteland domain and obtained a large amount of resources. He had naturally advanced to the green netherworld realm, killed the Blood Dragon King, and unified the outer seas. This had caused him to have a trace of blind confidence in his own strength, and thus underestimated the foundation of the other holy sects. He had almost died under the bombardment of the eternal blazing suns. This scene fiercely rang an alarm bell in his mind. In the entire eastern wilderness, he might have been called an expert, but he was definitely not strong enough to look down on everyone in the world. If he continued to maintain this arrogant attitude, there would be a day when he would fail miserably. This time, it was fortunate that esteemed Zhu Zhao had left a hidden card that saved his life. What about the next time? No matter what, he must never lose his vigilance. Tsing Hui reflected in his heart, but his hand movements were not slow. Qin Jun had already exhausted her genuine qi. Not to mention manifesting the celestial rock sage body, it was difficult for her to maintain her longevity level 6 cultivation. At this time, even if Lord Zhan Hai borrowed the power of the divine skill, he could still defeat her. He had gone through untold hardships this time to capture Lai Wuyang alive and force her to reveal the 5th and 6th level of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Success was right in front of him, and he did not want to miss it. Taking advantage of the fact that Yuan He had not arrived in time to avoid the core power of the explosion of the eternal blazing suns, he directly unleashed the speed of his sword. With a sonic boom that tore through the void, he instantly shot toward Lai Wuyang. Oh no! Retreat! Seeing Tsing Hui rushing toward Lai Wuyang, Luo Rieo roared and was about to pull Lai Wuyang away. He already understood that Qin Jun did not have the ability to protect Lai Wuyang, the Sanus. Wait! I'll go with you. On the other hand, Lai Weiyang knew very well why Tsing Hui was rushing toward her. Seeing that she could not escape, she simply took the initiative to go forward. Although Tsing Hui was a little surprised, he did not say much. He grabbed Lai Weiyang and instantly tore through the air. Cho Tsing Hui, you're too presumptuous. What do you want to do? Qin Zhen roared angrily as she watched Cho Tsing Hui capture Lai Weiyang. Luo Rieo wanted to give chase, but how could he, who was only at the Qingming stage, catch up to Tsing Hui, who had a grade 9 flying sword? His face was immediately filled with anxiety and worry. Elder Qin Zhen, please quickly send people to capture this thief. At this moment, Yuan He also caught up. Hearing Qin Zhen's angry shout, his expression turned somewhat ugly as he asked, that thief actually captured Saintess Lai Weiyang alive? Wouldn't it be more convenient to kill him than to capture Saintess Lai Weiyang alive? Also, junior sister Qin Zhen, what did you mean by calling out Cho Tsing Hui earlier? This, Qin Zhen could not help but frown as she thought of how muddle-headed the battle had been. However, it was not appropriate for her to explain in detail in front of Luo Rieo. She could only shake her head and say to Luo Rieo, don't worry, we will investigate this matter thoroughly. Moreover, based on Saintess Lai Weiyang's behavior, she seems to know this person. She should not be in danger for a short period of time. Otherwise, she would not have taken the initiative to leave with him. Luo Rieo carefully thought about Qin Zhen's words and felt that it made sense. However, he still said with a worried expression, even so, I hope that your sect will rescue our Saintess as soon as possible. Saintess Lai Weiyang has already been conferred the title of Deputy Sect Master by a Sect Master, and is also the first Deputy Sect Master. She is a person who will inherit the Jin Wu religion in the future. If she is captured by your sect's Hall Master in your sect's territory, and something happens to her, it will definitely affect the unity of our two sections. Deputy Sect Master Luo, don't worry. I will do my best to track down his whereabouts. If that person is really the Deputy Hall Master of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Suppressing Hall, someone in our Hunyuan Heaven Sect will definitely be able to find him. Qin Zhen nodded solemnly. Yuan He also vaguely understood the details of what Qin Zhen and the others had said, and a look of shock suddenly emerged on his face. Deputy Sect Master Luo, let's return to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect first. I will report this matter to the Sect Master. Luo Rieo nodded worriedly. The Jin Wu religion's forces were all focused on resisting the Create, Evolve Mysterious Sect, and they couldn't spare any Supreme Elders. Moreover, given the terrifying battle strength displayed by the mysterious expert just now, even if the Jin Wu religion really sent a Supreme Elder, they couldn't do anything to him. Now, they could only pin their hopes on the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Yuan He glanced at King Zhenhai and the others behind him. When they left Qing Su, they had directly fled as well. At this moment, Yuan He no longer had any intention of hunting them down. He only secretly asked Qin Zhen through voice transmission, Junior Sister Qin Zhen, what's going on? The mysterious expert who intercepted the Jin Wu religion's battleship wasn't a secret chess piece of the Create, Evolve Mysterious Sect, but the Deputy Hall Master of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Suppressing Hall, the Alliance Master of the Overseas Life Moon Alliance, Cho Tsing Hui. We can all see that the mysterious expert has disguised himself and concealed his true appearance. But Lai Weiyang used some unknown method to identify the mysterious expert and claim that he was Cho Tsing Hui. How is that possible? Although Cho Tsing Hui's cultivation base is high and he has unified the overseas, how can his battle strength reach such a level? Even if he borrowed the power of the divine art, he shouldn't be able to fight head-on with your heavenly Peng sacred body. Yuan He found it hard to believe. In fact, what he said was still a little conservative. Although the duration of the Divine Saint technique was short, it was slightly longer than when Qin Zhen manifested the celestial Peng sacred physique. Based on this, Qin Zhen's true qi had run out in the end, but the time limit of the Divine Saint technique of Qing Su was not up yet. If a battle of life and death really erupted between the two of them, Qin Zhen, who had run out of true qi in the end, would only end up dead. Obviously, all of us have underestimated the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance. Even the sect master who specially investigated his information is no exception. Qin Jun said with a serious face. Yuan He was startled and finally nodded in agreement. The sect master's importance to Tsing Hui was inferred based on his battle record of killing the Blood WYRM King. As for the Blood WYRM King, even though it was able to contend against an immortal stage level 6 prominent divine stage elite for a moment, that was when the prominent divine stage elite had not manifested his divine body. Once the prominent divine stage elite went all out and manifested his divine body, a mere Blood WYRM King was nothing. But Tsing Hui was different. The battle just now had completely proved that Cho Tsing Hui already had the strength to surpass the ordinary Grand Elders. In fact, within the duration of the divine art, he was a saint expert. In fact, the point I'm really concerned about is not Cho Tsing Hui's combat power. But when Qin Jun said this, he thought of the scene where the sage-like figure suppressed the explosive power of the 3 eternal blazing suns with the cultivation of the green hell realm for 2 to 3 breaths. There was a hint of awe in his tone. But when his life was hanging by a thread, the mysterious Almighty who suddenly appeared and suppressed the explosive power of the 3 eternal blazing suns for him, allowing him to escape with a slim chance of survival. I went out to buy a computer cable and then came back late. I've kept everyone waiting for a long time. Every time there is an update delay or a lack of updates, there will be an update. So, will there be a 3rd or 4th update today? Chapter 257. The Jin Wu Religion's Alliance team was attacked 1,000 kilometers away from the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's headquarters. When the news came back, it immediately caused a sensation among the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's higher-ups. Sect masters with Kunlun immediately issued an order, and the sect's 4 supreme elders, Song Yu, Du Ming, Xing Lu, and Fa Dai, came out of closed-door cultivation at the same time and rushed to the location of the battle as quickly as possible. An hour later, the several supreme elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect returned at the same time, accompanied by Deputy Sect Master Luo Rieo. As for the damaged battleship that had been pierced through by Tsing Hui's sword, it was docked in a city not far from the battlefield. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect's deacon in charge of repairing the battleship and cleaning up the battlefield for the Jin Wu Religion. At this time, almost everyone's attention was focused on Elder Qin Jun, Elder Yuan He, and Deputy Sect Master Luo Rieo. Elder Qin Jun, we were just about to send people to search for the culprit who dared to commit such a vicious act in our Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but you stopped us and said that there was something else behind this matter. What is the reason? As soon as Qin Jun arrived, Du Ming, who was a little anxious, couldn't wait to ask. The mysterious master attacked the Jin Wu Religion's team, but I don't think it was for revenge. He himself should be targeting the Jin Wu Religion's Saintess Lai Wuyong, but we have to summon someone to know the specific reason. Qin Jun glanced at Zhuo Kunlun as she spoke. Zhuo Kunlun received Qin Jun's report and knew that the mysterious master couldn't be made public for the time being. He nodded and said, Qinglong Peak Master Nailin Fei? I've already sent someone to inform her. Qin Jun grunted in agreement. Zhuo Kunlun looked at Qin Jun with a solemn expression and said, Elder Qin Jun, you mentioned earlier that there is likely to be an almighty behind the mysterious master. Is this true or false? You should know that this is an almighty, an invincible figure who can easily flatten the entire Eastern Wilderness. How can there be anyone in the Eastern Wilderness who is related to such an important figure? Zhuo Kunlun's concern was also the reason why many of the elders present had hurriedly gathered here. As he asked about this matter, everyone's gazes all landed on Elder Qin Jun. I'm not sure if it's an almighty, but at the most critical moment, Deputy Leader Luo Rieo took out 3 eternal blazing suns at the same time and detonated them. The mighty power was enough to completely kill the mysterious expert. But the existence that seemed to be an almighty suddenly appeared and easily suppressed the explosive power of the 3 eternal blazing suns for 2 breaths, allowing the mysterious expert to escape. At this point, Qin Zhen's tone paused slightly, and she said solemnly, "And the existence that seems to be a powerful existence, at most, only showed the power of the green hell realm during the whole process. Eternal blazing sun? Or was it a triple explosion? He was actually suppressed for 2 breaths by the existence that seems to be a powerful existence with the cultivation of the green netherworld realm. It has to be an almighty. The power of 3 eternal blazing suns is enough to kill a saint expert on the spot if they don't take out a treasure to defend themselves. The difference in battle power between the first 4 layers of the saint stage is not significant. To be able to achieve this with the cultivation of the green netherworld realm, it must be an almighty who has cultivated a remarkable ability. That's right. Even a 4th layer saint expert with the immortal golden pill can't suppress the explosive power of 3 eternal blazing suns for 2 breaths with the cultivation of the green netherworld realm. Song Yu, Du Ming, Star Slaughter, Fa Dai, and the other grand elders nodded in agreement. Their expressions all became solemn. An almighty, that was an almighty, an invincible existence that could easily flatten the eastern wilderness. Even in the heaven wasteland world, where the cultivation civilization was flourishing to the extreme, such a person could establish a first-rate sect and become a top powerhouse. In front of such a person, the little Hunyuan heaven sect was not even worth mentioning. That mysterious expert is the disciple of that almighty? Zhou Kunlun found it difficult to calm down. Even if it was only a possibility, it was enough to make the entire Hunyuan heaven sect panic. Disciple? That's impossible, right? Could it be that the mysterious expert obtained a protective jade talisman from that almighty by chance? Fa Dai hesitated for a moment before voicing her own conjecture. The other's eyes also lit up. However, before they could heave a sigh of relief with this self-deceiving explanation, Grand Elder Yuan, he waved his hand without hesitation. I think it's very likely that the mysterious expert is this Almighty's disciple. Why? How could Almighty not have any disciple? Why would he specially come to a small place like the Eastern Wilderness to recruit disciples? Du Ming countered. Ordinary geniuses naturally won't catch the eye of an Almighty. Even top geniuses who have cultivated divine-grade astral chi aren't worth that almighty coming all the way here. But what if that top genius has awakened 2 divine beast bloodlines at the same time and cultivated them to at least the spirit and chi unity stage? When Grand Elder Yuan He's words came out, it really startled everyone. A dual bloodline cultivator? That mysterious expert has cultivated 2 divine beast bloodlines at the same time and cultivated them to at least the spirit and chi unity stage. Awakening 2 divine beast bloodlines is already 1 in a million, not to mention 2 divine beast bloodlines. Moreover, he actually cultivated 2 divine beast bloodlines to such a high level. I always thought that people who could cultivate 2 divine beast bloodlines to such a high level were just legends in the Eastern Wilderness, and it was impossible for them to appear. It can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. That mysterious expert must be that Almighty's disciple. Other than that Almighty, I can't think of anyone else in the Eastern Wilderness who can teach such an outstanding young talent. The Grand Elders exclaimed at the same time. Qinjin nodded thoughtfully. Our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's holy son, Jiesu, has also cultivated a divine beast bloodline to the blue netherworld stage. But even with the power of the divine art, he's no match for my heavenly rock sacred body. That mysterious expert can rely on the power of the divine art to defeat me, because he's a dual bloodline cultivator and has received the inheritance of an almighty. The Grand Elders looked at each other. A dual bloodline cultivator, and a divine beast bloodline. His identity as the disciple of an almighty was almost certain. For a moment, the Grand Elders didn't know how the Hunyuan Heaven Sect should resolve this matter. For the sake of the sect's dignity, they hunted down that mysterious expert. Once they offended that almighty, the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect would face a calamity. But if they turned a blind eye to this matter, How could the Jin Wu religion let the Hunyuan heaven sect's prestige go so easily? Qin Jin looked at the worried Zhuo Kunlun and whispered, Sect Master, please calm down. If my guess is correct, there may be a perfect solution to this matter. Zhuo Kunlun glanced at Grand Elder Qin Jin and finally nodded. A moment later, a guard came in to report, Sect Master, Qinglan Peak Master Nalan Fei has arrived. Let her in. Yes. Not long after, Nalan Fei was led to a small conference room by an elder of the spirit and Qi Unison stage. The matters discussed in this small conference room were relatively secret, and the security outside was tight. When Nalan Fei arrived, she faintly felt that something was wrong. When she saw that there were 6 grand elders in the conference room, as well as the sect master himself, she immediately understood that the sect master had summoned her here for no small matter. Greetings, sect master. Greetings, 6 grand elders. Zhuo Kunlun originally had a solemn look on his face, but after a moment, he recalled Qin Jin's description of Tsing Hui's terrifying battle prowess and background, as well as the relationship between Nalan Fei and Tsing Hui. The solemn look on his face gradually became amiable. You don't have to be nervous. Grand Elder Qin Jin has a few questions for you. You just have to answer truthfully. Yes. Peak Master Nalan Fei. You are a close relative of Palace Master Cho Tsing Hui and the Palace Master of the Comingxi Palace. Do you know if Cho Tsing Hui and Jin Wu religion's sacred maiden Lai Wuyong know each other? Qin Jin asked. Tsing Hui? Nalan Fei was slightly startled and immediately understood that this matter must be related to Cho Tsing Hui. However, no matter how smart she was, she could not imagine that Tsing Hui would lead people to intercept the Jin Wu religion's team. Therefore, when she thought that her words should not cause any trouble, she slowly said, As far as I know, Tsing Hui and Sacred Maiden Lai Wuyong are quite familiar with each other. Oh, then do you know what the relationship between the two of them is? The relationship between the two of them? Nalan Fei could not help but hesitate for a moment. Just say it. Zhuo Kunlun smiled. Nalan Fei looked at Zhuo Kunlun, who seemed quite amiable, and gritted her teeth, intending to fight for Tsing Hui. Sect Master, although I know that my words carry little weight and I can't influence the decisions of our Hunyuan Heaven sect, disciples still earnestly request Sect Master to take back the marriage between the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion already have a good relationship, and we have even formed an offensive and defensive alliance. There is no need to use marriage to consolidate the foundation of the alliance between the two. Zhuo Kunlun glanced at Grand Elder Qin Jin, and his eyes lit up. He immediately guessed something and said with a smile, Let's not talk about this for the time being. Not long ago, the Jin Wu religion came to my Hunyuan Heaven sect to discuss the marriage with me. Although we have reached a preliminary agreement, because the Jiesu Saint is not present, we have not really confirmed it to the world. Tell me, what is the relationship between our Deputy Hall Master Tsing Hui and the Jin Wu religion's Sacred Maiden Lai Wuyong? Zhuo Kunlun's words immediately caused everyone who had faintly guessed some of the inside story to look at Nalan Fei. They heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts as they waited for Nalan Fei's final answer. When Nalan Fei saw that Zhuo Kunlun was smiling and had no intention of pursuing the matter, she did not want to miss this opportunity. She hurriedly added fuel to the fire. Sect Master, as far as I know, Tsing Hui and Sacred Maiden Lai Wuyong have known each other for a long time, and because of their cultivation journey together, they have formed a deep relationship. They have shared life and death, honor and disgrace, and can be said to be congenial to each other. As far as I know, Tsing Hui has even reached the point where he will not marry Sacred Maiden Lai Wuyong. Speaking of this, Nalan Fei hurriedly pleaded, Our Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jin Wu religion are both major sects in the world and are at the top of the Eastern Wilderness. In the face of a life and death enemy, like the Create, Evolve, Mysterious sect, we should wholeheartedly cooperate and support each other. Even if we are in an alliance, there is no need to sacrifice the future happiness of the younger generation as a guarantee. Therefore, I implore Sect Master to allow Tsing Hui and Sacred Maiden Lai Wuyang to cancel the marriage between the two sections. At the same time, I also ask that Deputy Sect Master Luo pass on a message to your Sect Master that the responsibility of the sect's survival should not be placed entirely on the shoulders of a girl. When Zhou Kunlun, Qin Zhen, and the others heard Nalan Fei's personal confirmation, they exchanged a glance and did not know whether to laugh or cry. They understood. They understood everything. The whole matter was caused by the marriage between the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jinwu religion. Chapter 258. The truth was revealed. Because the Jinwu religion was worried that their secret marriage with the Hunyuan Heaven sect would be obstructed by external forces, they did not mention it to anyone except the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. It could be said to be low-key and mysterious. It was not until they successfully arrived at the Hunyuan Heaven sect and reached an agreement with the Hunyuan Heaven sect that they announced this matter to the higher-ups. Cho Tsing-hui, who was bitterly in love with Lai Wuyang, suddenly received the news when he attended the Qinglan Peak's founding assembly that his beloved was going to marry someone else. Naturally, he was shocked and angry. However, he understood the severity of the matter and did not make a scene in the Hunyuan Heaven sect immediately. Instead, he waited until Lai Wuyang left the Hunyuan Heaven sect before impatiently attacking the Jinwu religion team. His ultimate goal was to kidnap Lai Wuyang and take her far away. However, he did not expect that after the Jinwu religion and the Hunyuan Heaven sect formed an alliance, the Hunyuan Heaven sect would send two grand elders, Qin Zhen and Yuan He, to accompany them, which ultimately led to a series of battles. As for why Lai Wuyang did not inform Tsing Hui of the marriage alliance with the Hunyuan Heaven sect, according to Nalan Fei's words, they also understood responsibility. As the saintess of the Jinwu religion, Lai Wuyang naturally had to shoulder the responsibility of a saintess when the Jinwu religion was facing a life and death crisis. Therefore, she hid it from Tsing Hui and did not even mention to the Jinwu religion that she already had someone in her heart. She shouldered the heavy responsibility of the marriage alliance with the Hunyuan Heaven sect without hesitation and chose to sacrifice her future happiness to save the Jinwu religion. This kind of spirit was very touching. She's still young after all. After figuring out the cause and effect of the whole matter, Zhou Kunlun, Qin Zhen, and the others all sighed. They seemed to recall their youth and also seemed to recall the unforgettable love they had for each other before they lost their innocence. But now, many things were gone with the wind under the grinding of time and were no longer the same as before. Of course, the reason why Zhou Kunlun, Qin Zhen, and Yuan He could react so calmly was because of the powerful strength that Tsing Hui had displayed in the battle against Qin Zhen and Yuan He. At that time, Qin Zhen and Yuan He had joined forces to attack Tsing Hui, but in the end, they were almost defeated by him. Tsing Hui alone was equivalent to the strength of two grand elders. Such an expert was enough to attract the attention of any power, especially according to their understanding. This Tsing Hui looked extremely young, but his future potential was limitless. Coupled with the fact that Tsing Hui had the power to easily destroy the Hunyuan Heavenly sect and was suspected to be the disciple of a powerful being, they had no choice but to change their attitude. He was a genius with limitless potential, had no conflicts of interest, and even had the backing of a powerful being. If the Hunyuan Heaven sect had been so unforgiving because of a misunderstanding, they would have disbanded long ago. Young and hot-blooded, for the Hunyuan Heaven sect, this matter was basically over. Sect leader, what exactly happened? Could it be Tsing Hui? Nalan Fei already had a bad premonition when she heard the conversation between the Hunyuan Heaven sect's higher-ups. Don't be nervous. Sensing the change in Nalan Fei and Tsing Hui, Zhou Kunlun chuckled. This matter isn't as bad as you think. Go back first and wait for our next news. Nalan Fei glanced at Zhou Kunlun. In front of the Jinwu religion's distinguished guests, she couldn't continue to pursue the matter. She could only respond, yes. Vice Sect Leader Luo, how do you think this matter should be resolved? After Nalan Fei was led away by the guards, Zhou Kunlun's gaze fell on Luo Rieo. Although the Jinwu religion had to completely rely on the Hunyuan Heaven sect to have any hope of resisting the Create, Evolve, Mysterious sect, they still had to treat the Jinwu religion with caution. This matter arose because of the marriage between our sect leader and the Saintess. I think it's better for me to report this to our sect leader and find a way to contact the Saintess. We can make a decision after the Saintess returns. Luo Rieo also didn't know how to resolve this matter. However, he also had other ideas in his mind. Cho Tsing Hui was young, but he had already displayed terrifying battle prowess that allowed him to fight two people alone. In addition, he was deeply in love with their Saintess. He didn't hesitate to attack the Jinwu religion's warship and take the Saintess away at the risk of offending the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jinwu religion. Perhaps they could use their Saintess as a foundation to pull Tsing Hui from the Hunyuan Heaven sect to the Jinwu religion. Tsing Hui was only a small deputy hall master of the Sea Calming Hall in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. He wasn't even a hall master. Given his relationship with the Saintess, if they could pull him into the Jinwu religion, it wouldn't be difficult for the sect leader to give him the position of Supreme Elder. After all, the Saintess had already proven that she was willing to sacrifice her own happiness for the sect. Her loyalty was completely guaranteed. As for Cho Tsing Hui, once he entered the Jinwu religion, the Saintess would watch over him. Would he still be afraid that he would betray the Jinwu religion in the future? The more Luo Rieo thought about it, the more he felt it was possible. He couldn't wait any longer. Sect Master Zhua, I have to go back and report this matter to our sect leader as soon as possible. I won't stay here any longer. Goodbye. The Hunyuan Heaven sect is also very sorry that this has happened. Since Sect Master Luo is in a hurry to leave and report this matter to Sect Master Zhu, we won't force you to stay. Please convey our Hunyuan Heaven sect's apology to your sect leader. Please rest assured that this matter will absolutely not affect the relationship between the Hunyuan Heaven sect and the Jinwu religion. Many thanks, Sect Master. I will definitely convey these words for Sect Master. Come, send Sect Master Luo out for me. Zhou Kunlun summoned a Qingming realm attendant and led Luo Rieo out of the small conference room. Good. I didn't expect that mysterious expert to be someone from our Hunyuan Heaven sect. The Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Calming Hall, Cho Tsing Hui, the Alliance Master who just joined the Life Moon Alliance. That boy is really hiding his strength. Cho Tsing Hui is from the Zhua family, right? He is also an expert that Nalan Fei pulled in. It seems that the Peak Master of Qinglan Peak is really our Hunyuan Heaven sect's lucky star. Now that there were no outsiders, the Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elders burst into laughter, each and every one of them looking very happy. Even Qin Zhen and Yuan He, who had fought with Tsing Hui before, were no exception. As supreme elders cultivated by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, they naturally put the sect's interests first. The Hunyuan Heaven sect had a top master with unlimited potential like Cho Tsing Hui, which was beneficial to the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect. In addition, their previous battle was completely due to a misunderstanding. With the magnanimity of the two, they naturally wouldn't haggle over such a small matter. Seeing Luo Rieo leave in a hurry, Qin Zhen stood on Tsing Hui's side and said, Sect Master, I think that Sect Master Luo wants to poach people from our Hunyuan Heaven sect. He dares. Isn't he afraid that our Hunyuan Heaven sect will turn a blind eye to the Jinwu religion's crisis? Yuan He roared. The more powerful a sect was, the greater the power they held. Under such circumstances, Yuan He and the others naturally wouldn't allow their sect's genius, who is very likely to grow into the saint stage in the future, to be poached by the Jinwu religion. He may not dare to poach people openly, but what if Tsing Hui takes the initiative to withdraw from our Hunyuan Heaven sect? After all, he is just the Deputy Hall Master of our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Sea Suppressing Hall. Qin Zhen said. As soon as these words came out, everyone fell silent. Yes, the Jinwu religion had Lai Wuyang. If what Nalan Fei said was true, and Tsing Hui was deeply in love with Lai Wuyang, Coupled with the Jin Wu religion's efforts to recruit him, he really might abandon the Hunyuan Heaven sect and join the Jin Wu religion. At that time, the Hunyuan Heaven sect would suffer heavy losses. This issue really needs to be discussed carefully, not to mention whether or not Xing Hui has an almighty behind him. Just the fact that he already has battle strength comparable to 2 supreme elders at such a young age is enough for us to treat him with 120% attention. If we really miss such a promising disciple, it will be our Hunyuan Heaven sect's greatest loss in thousands of years. Elder Fa Dai and the others said with a serious expression. With Xing Hui's ability, if the Jin Wu religion wants to poach him, they will definitely give him the position of Supreme Elder. If we really want to keep him in our Hunyuan Heaven sect and increase our strength, the final treatment we give him can't be worse than the Jin Wu religion. How about we also give him the position of Supreme Elder? Xing Lu's gaze swept across everyone present as he cautiously suggested. Supreme Elder? That's not appropriate. The ancestors of our Hunyuan Heaven sect are all in closed-door cultivation in the forbidden area. Unless the sect encounters a great disaster, they never interfere with the sect's development. The Supreme Elder is already the most powerful person in the sect. Although Xing Hui has a promising future and astonishing battle strength, he has only been in our Hunyuan Heaven sect for a short time. Wouldn't it be a little too much to appoint him as a Supreme Elder? Xing Lu hesitated. If we can't give him the position of Supreme Elder, we may not be able to keep Cho Xing Hui. If he really is snatched away by the Jin Wu religion, it will be too late for our Hunyuan Heaven sect to regret it. Above the Deputy Hall Master is the Hall Master, and above the Hall Master is the Supreme Elder. However, the influence of each hall is different. How about we transfer him to one of the higher rank halls to become a Hall Master? That's not right. Putting aside the fact that we won't be able to deal with the Life Alliance behind Qing Su, which one of the top Hall Masters hasn't made great contributions to our Hunyuan Heaven sect. Wouldn't it be disappointing to have someone replace him? Then let's change the way we put it. The several Supreme Elders gathered together and discussed spiritedly. They were all considering how to arrange Xing Hui's matter. So Kunlun watched for a moment and pondered for a while. He suddenly said, "Elders, please listen to me. Sectmaster, what good idea do you have? Are you worried that Cho Xing Hui will affect the future development of our Hunyuan Heaven sect if he becomes a Supreme Elder? I don't think there's anything to worry about. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Supreme Elder Council has never been a one-sided decision. When it comes to the sect's development, we need to pool our thoughts and make a decision together. If Xing Hui really does something that will endanger our Hunyuan Heaven sect's interests, as long as we reject all of his requests, wouldn't the harm his power as a Supreme Elder bring to us be insignificant?" Zhuo Kunlun's words stunned the various elders. They immediately reacted. That's right, why didn't I think of that? Even if he threatens the future of our Hunyuan Heaven sect, he can't do anything alone. I don't have any objections. Yes, that's true. The various Supreme Elders nodded one by one and gradually relaxed. Since everyone has no objections, then it's decided. When Cho Xing Hui returns, we will convene the Supreme Elder Council and announce his appointment as a Supreme Elder. Now, we can even start building the Supreme Elder Peak for him. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.